The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk, where we are live to tape. It is December 27th, 2021, episode 427. Today, E.T., Priest, Beast. And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And as you can tell, I'm starting the show because Basil is frozen in time today, as displayed for those watching. He is a black and white shell of himself as he attempts to traverse through time and space. He got stuck somewhere and couldn't make it to the live show today, but show must go on. So I'm going to try to get through this solo. You guys know the drill. You guys have been there with me when I have to do things solo. It could be a little bumpy, but we got some important stories to cover here. So hope everyone had a good Christmas weekend, or, you know, whatever you celebrate over the weekend. I had a good time with my family, and it was great to spend time and you know, with the kids and everything. So, but as usual, when we take a show day off, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens, and, you know, emails get flooded, text messages, you know, links being shared, stuff like that. So anytime I come back to the device, it was like, oh my gosh, another thing that's breaking, or, you know, another big news event. So we'll get right into it. We'll get through stuff today, again, solo. So if I get lost in the shuffle of trying to do multiple things like the recording and the live stream OBS Streamlabs software and the jingle board and the document and the screen, and there's a lot going on, so please bear with me. But let's get into it. So before we start anything off, we have to remind everybody that it's Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
And it's the last Monday of 2021. How about that? The next time we experience Monday, it will be 2022. Sounds so future-y. Speaking of numbers that line up, like 22, we're going to start with a quick 33 update.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
And the headline here from the New York Post: Canada secretly tracked 33 million phones during COVID-19 lockdown. Report. Came out on Christmas Day, too. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Canada's been tracking 33 million phones during the COVID-19 lockdown. It says here, Canada federal government admitted to secretly surveilling its population's movements during the COVID-19 lockdown by tracking 33 million phones. The Public Health Agency of Canada, PHAC, clandestinely tracked the devices to assess, quote, the public's responsiveness during lockdown measures, the agency acknowledged last week, according to Blacklock's reporter, which first reported the disclosure. Canada's entire population totals 38 million, according to Statistics Canada. Well, you know, some people have 2 or 3 phones, you know, they're burner phones and stuff. So maybe it's not 33 million out of the 38 million citizens, but still, it's probably most cell phones or most smartphones that exist in Canada. It's got to be, even if you have a couple of them. Quote, evidence is coming in from many sources from countries around the world that what was seen as a huge surveillance surge post 9/11, of course, we know about this, is now completely upstaged by pandemic surveillance. David Lyon, author of Pandemic Surveillance and the former director of the Surveillance Studies Center at Queen's University in Ontario, told the National Post. You guys get it. But apart from just the egregiousness of that, which again is not surprising, we've been tracking this stuff and we know about it. We're tracking them right back, with a lot of the surveillance. That's part of, I guess, the duty of a citizen that's being surveilled is like, okay, well, all right, well, we're going to surveil you back, Canadian government. And of course, it's not easy to do with the current infrastructure of the technology, but that's why people are going to move themselves over to Web 3.0 with blockchain and transparent financial infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. It'll be part of the reason. All of this will be a reason to move in that direction. So, yeah, it's all part of the play, part of the game. And the number 33, of course, we don't put necessarily any significance to the number other than that, it seems the occult and the elite like to use it. We know that it's a number that's important to the Freemasons. They have their 33 degrees of Freemasonry. Many monuments and ancient structures have been built on the 33-degree parallel across the earth here, whether you think it's flat or a ball or whatever. And that's a point that I think we're making without saying a lot in the show when we cover various stories. But this is something L.A. Marzulli talked about years ago, and I'm seeing it more and more now, along with the alien stuff, which we'll get to. But it's this idea that in the ancient past, perhaps, this is according to L.A. Marzulli's theory here, perhaps in the time of Atlantis, whenever that was, in my view, it's the antediluvian world, so pre-flood world, there was a worldwide network, some kind of communication network that was built either, physically, or maybe it tapped into some kind of ethereal thing. The New Agers talk about the I forget what it's called. Somebody in the chat will remember what it's called. Some ethereal information network that surrounds the world that you can tap into to gain information and stuff like that. I forget what it's called now. No, not magic realm. It is kind of like a magic realm. But the internet basically, according to L.A. Marzulli's theory, is that they're rebuilding this infrastructure, this ethereal Akashic records train station. Thank you. Yes, the Akashic records, where all information ever in the universe is stored or whatever. So in that sense, it kind of is that, if you think about the internet, trying to store all the information and knowledge in one place. So very interesting when you think about Starlink and connecting the internet all over the world and everything else. So anyway, back to the 33, you have 1/3 of the stars being swept away in the Bible. That's 33.33%. So anyway, is it the elite using signaling here? Perhaps. Or maybe it's just a spiritual imprint where, the nefarious designs are on full display for people like us to point out and say, yeah, of course, Canadian government surveilling is going to land around 33 million phones. And it just so happens. Not that they're trying to do that, but, the guiding spirits are guiding them to that number. So anyway, that's that. Let's move on to the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
And I don't have the little rattling thing I do about, or Basil does about Flippy here. What is it? He's the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Let me flip this over. Sorry. We talk about Flippy as, just a way to keep track of the robot takeover. And there's lots of different parts to this. We specifically track the robot arm, but also just robots in general, autonomous machines and AI and machine learning, all that kind of stuff. But we try to stick to the arms. For today, we don't have something crazy today with the Flippy update. But, we'll reserve that for when Basil's around because it's his shtick. But news.com.au had this headline on December 26th. This is even starting to freak us out. Ameca robot responds to human waving finger in its face. And we reported on Ameca, the robot, the most realistic robot, that's been developed, I guess. It's interesting. The facial features are certainly troublesome, but this recent clip, there's a little bit more of a physical response or emotional response in the face, I guess, with the finger being wagged. I'm going to play the clip. It's not great for audio. I'll try to describe what's happening here. So there's Ameca. Ameca's following the finger that's being moved around, moved to the right, the left, and the finger moves towards Ameca's nose, and Ameca kind of backs up like, oh, you're trying to touch my nose, you're in my space. And then, that's the weird part right there. Ameca, I can't track this video for some reason on this website, thanksnews.com.au. Basically, the finger goes up to Ameca's nose, and Ameca leans in to the finger and then uses its hand to grab the human finger and try to pull it out of the way. And I think that's got people a little unsettled. They're like, whoa there, hey. That's a little weird. It says here, new footage of a lifelike android fitted with cutting-edge artificial intelligence reacting to engineers invading its, quote, personal space has spooked the internet. Britain-based tech company Engineered Arts this month revealed a scarily realistic robot with lifelike facial features and expressions that can, quote, develop interaction with people. The android, nicknamed Ameca, uses high-resolution cameras for eyes to scan its surroundings and react accordingly, now available for purchase or rent for an undisclosed sum. Oh, man. We'll take blood and Bitcoin. The relatable android has a gray face and movable arms and is billed as, quote, the perfect humanoid robot platform for human-robot interaction. It can smile, routinely blink its eyes. Okay, we know all this. We already talked about all this stuff. All right. Yes. Let's get to the part in question here. Let's see. In a recent release video, Ameca fluidly responds to an engineer waving her finger in front of its nose. They use its. Scrunching up its face in apparent disdain before raising its arm to move the human away. It then straightens its face and looks directly down the barrel of the camera. Quote, this is even starting to freak us out, Engineered Arts posted under the video. Ameca is intended as a cloud-connected platform to test artificial intelligence and machine learning systems. There you go. Once again, you create this cloud, you open up this Akashic records. What entities reside there and how might they manifest in these machines? So anyway, just more footage. This isn't like the craziest Flippy update, but it is a robot arm, moving a hand, just reacting to being or having its personal space invaded, and just all of the small movements with the eyes and the neck and everything else. It's what makes it look so spooky, and it's got that CGI element that we've talked about, in previous reports about Ameca. So there you go. That's our Flippy update. It's a robotic arm pushing away a human finger because its personal space was invaded. Not creepy at all, but welcome to the cusp of 2022. All right, let's see. Moving on, we have, this story.
Aliens.
Space Pope Reptilian. It's gotta be biblical.
Thank you to all the people who sent us various versions of this story. We're going to take it from The Times. I think that's .co.uk. Headline, Heavens Above. NASA enlists priest to prepare for an alien discovery. Yes, and those of you who have been around for a while, I mean, I'm talking years, this is just like, hey, finally they're starting to talk about this again in the mainstream, because we know Tom Horn and the late Chris Putnam had put together a couple books. One of the books they put together, Exo Vaticana, I have a copy here. It's a big, thick book here. Exo Vaticana, Petros Romanus, Project Lucifer, which is that big telescope in Arizona, and the Vatican's astonishing plan for the arrival of an alien savior. So they were writing about this. I think this book came out in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was a little bit later. It's got an introduction by Dr. Chuck Missler. I'll read from that later, a little quote. But it says here in the Times article, as space agencies launch new telescopes, rovers, and probes to look for habitable planets and alien life beyond Earth, a British priest has been helping NASA to understand how the discovery of extraterrestrials would change the way we see the universe. The Reverend Dr. Andrew Davison, a priest and theologian at the University of Cambridge with a doctorate in biochemistry from Oxford, is among 24 theologians to have taken part in a NASA-sponsored program at the Center for Theological Inquiry at Princeton in the U.S. to assess how the world's major religions would react to news that life exists on worlds beyond our own. And again, this Reverend Dr. Andrew Davison, I believe he was mentioned and talked about as part of, the people in our, I guess, fringe world reporting on stuff. And just as an example, I think that, there was an article from 2015 here, October 23rd, actually, 2015, churchtimes.co.uk. The headline, "Do Other Planets Have Their Own Christ?" We'll get to that a little bit later. But it was... Again, I think it was written by Dr. Reverend Andrew Davison. Yeah. And this article from the Times kind of repeats a lot of the same stuff. So for many of you, it's probably familiar information, but I'll read some of it and just to get an idea if there's anything new here. The Times has seen a copy of his book, Astrobiology and Christian Doctrine, due to be published next year, which was based on his research at Princeton. Oh, this guy's, if he hasn't been on Joe Rogan already, this is his pitch to be on the Joe Rogan show. Just saying. As Davison points out, the prospect of finding alien life is becoming ever more real. There's a nice photo of him. The James Webb Space Telescope is to be launched on Christmas Day and will have the power to analyze the atmospheres of planets and distant star systems to see if they could be habitable. The European Space Agency's Rosalind Franklin rover, built in Stevenage, Hertfordshire, blasts off next year on a mission to drill 2 meters into the Martian surface looking for living or fossilized microbes. The Europa Clipper mission sets off in 2024 to scan Europa, the icy moon of Jupiter with an underground ocean for signs of life. Just this week, scientists in Cardiff have suggested that ammonia in Venus's atmosphere could be created by living organisms. As one NASA expert told the Times, quote, "We may not discover life for 100 years, or we may discover it next week. The discovery of alien life would prompt profound questions beyond science." Beyond science. Oh, oops.
Science is truth.
Yeah, trying to incorporate some jingles too. Yes, the discovery of alien life would prompt questions beyond science. Could God have created life elsewhere in the universe? Could he have sent a savior to die for the sins of an alien species? Man, really? You're going there? Again, this is an old argument, and one that I think part of the rebuttal to this, which is pretty straightforward, just comes right out of the Bible, Romans chapter 8. And if you go to starting around verse 18, it's talking about the glory that will be revealed in us. Verse 19, the creation waits in eager expectation for the revelation of the sons of God. Verse 20, for the creation was subjected to futility, not by its own will, but because of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. So there is this aspect of Jesus's death and resurrection represents a starting point, but then a complete restoration of all creation itself, which has been subject to bondage. So if that's the case, then every animal, even if they're off-world creatures or whatever, they're still part of this creation, which means they are part of the sin, the fallen nature. So, there's no escape here. It's not like, oh, hey, Jesus became a man to save humanity. So, now he's going to become a Zoidberg. Isn't that the clam? Not the clam, whatever. I'm trying to make a Futurama reference, and it's falling apart quickly. It's the squid, not squid. What is that thing? That thing that's in the Futurama there, the googly thingy. Dr. Zoidberg. Thank you, Sigurd the Beast. And what is he? What is he? A crab? A crab octopus or something? Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah. Jesus is going to be Dr. Zoidberg race to save all the Zoidbergians or something. No, that's not it. All creation is subjected to the curse here, the futility. So anyway, back to the article here. Would the discovery of extraterrestrial life require religions to rewrite their entire creation stories? Oh, how convenient for the devil. Or would it be accepted with ease by the major faiths? If you believe that a god or gods created all creatures, great and small, why shouldn't that apply across the universe? Davison had often debated these ideas with his theology students. When he saw that NASA wanted theologians to address these sorts of questions, he applied. Hey, NASA wants some input. Hey, I'll let him know. I'll let him know what I think. Yeah, maybe NASA should hire us too, or hire L.A. Marzulli or Tom Horn, good people to bring in. Although this is the other side of it is, you get some of those guys in, they spit truth about the stuff. Well, first off, that would never happen, I don't think. But even if it did, it would be like, see, they're in with the dark side. People like to point fingers and come up with stories. All right, let me continue. Between September 2016 and June 2017, Davison spent an academic year at Princeton in New Jersey as part of a program sponsored with $1.1 million by NASA entitled The Societal Implications of Astrobiology. Will Storer, director of the CTI, said NASA wanted to see, quote, serious scholarship being published in books and journals, addressing the, quote, profound wonder and mystery and implication of finding microbial life on another planet. Interesting. That you would have, you want more scholarship. You want it to be more legitimized in the halls of academia. But what we're talking about are profound wonders and mysteries. It's just very strange how we are at this time. Again, this is something Chris Putnam talked about in the past too, in his Supernatural book. But it's this idea of the end of materialism in the halls of academia, where materialism philosophically and scientifically don't work. So it's like philosophically, there's still, I guess, some people still pander to the idea, especially if you're an atheist or maybe worse, a nihilist or something. But it just academically, in the last few years, there have been atheists versus theologian debates and stuff, big ones, where theologians just destroy the atheists in debate and using logic and reason to argue for the existence of God rather than not. So anyway, here we go. Davison's book notes, quote, the headline findings are that adherents of a range of religious traditions report that they can take the idea in their stride. Non-religious people also seem to overestimate the challenges that religious people would experience if faced with evidence of alien life. Davidson writes that creation is seen as a, quote, generous gift from God, and said, quote, that would apply equally to whatever other life there might be in the universe. The Bishop of Buckingham, the Right Rev. Alan Wilson, Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Romaine of Maidenhead Synagogue, and Imam Qari Asim of the Makkah Mosque in Leeds said they agreed that Christian, Jewish, and Islamic teaching would be untroubled by the discovery of alien life. So here we have the Vatican, the Catholic Church here, or the Bishop of Buckingham. Is that I'm sure that is the Vatican, right? It's got to be. Then you have Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Romaine. So you have the Jewish leadership, and then the Imam Qari Asim of the Makkah Mosque leads for Islam. So now you have Christianity, Judaism, and Islam coming together on this idea of an alien existence or alien life existing. And, you know, they're being very coy at this point. Like, they're not going to come out and say, like, oh, the aliens are here. We are all saved now. You know, that's a little too much. It's very much, if you talk to the people that are in this world, they will say that, hey, alien life, and I guess they'll talk about this a little bit. It doesn't necessarily mean, like, you know, walking around talking things. They're, you know, it could be just little micro beings or something. So anyway, I'm looking at the chat. Is Basil in the chat? Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great if he's trolling his own producers there. That'd be fantastic. Hope that's happening in there. All right. Carl Pilcher, who was head of NASA's Astrobiology Institute. Whoa. Okay. Until 2016, said NASA was now investigating profound questions about the origins of life. Oh, they're now investigating profound questions about the origins of life. All right, NASA, welcome to the party. You know, humanity's been doing that for a while, and its place in the universe, and wanted theologians to, quote, consider the implications of applying the tools of late 20th century and early 21st century science to questions that had been considered in religious traditions for hundreds of thousands of years. And this is great because this is, you know, in some mild way, this head of NASA's Astrobiology Institute, or former, is admitting a truth here that a man named Robert Jastrow said. I've quoted this before. I really like this quote because I think it summarizes a lot of the debate that happens between, you know, the more scholarly levels of philosophers between atheists and Christians. And the quote is, "For the scientist who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peaks. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries." And I mean, if you want to talk about that quote today, it's this right here, considering the implications of applying the tools of late 21st century science to questions that have been considered in religious traditions for hundreds of thousands of years. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys have been on it for a while. Hey, but use these tools. We got the Lucifer telescope, baby. Let's use some Lucifer to find some aliens. All right. Continue on with the article. He said it was inconceivable that the Earth is the only place in the universe to harbor life, noting, quote, "That's just inconceivable," when there are over 100 billion stars in the galaxy and over 100 billion galaxies in the universe. Davison's book notes that a, quote, "large number of people would turn to their traditions for guidance on what alien life means, quote, for the standing and dignity of human life," noting, quote, "detection of alien life might come in a decade or in future centuries or perhaps never at all. But if or where it does, it will be used to have thought through the implications. It will be useful to have thought through the implications in advance." Oh, yeah. I mean, that's true about anything, isn't it? It's useful to have thought about the implications in advance of, you know, me going to the grocery store or something. So anyway, in scientific terms, finding proof that life developed independently beyond Earth, be it a microbe on Mars or an amoeba on Europa, are they hinting at something here? Are they going to reveal something in the near future in 2022? Living or extinct, another potential setup, will effectively confirm that life is abundant throughout the universe. Earth will no longer be unique, but rather just one life raft among billions across the cosmos. Davison notes that theologians have considered the question of whether God's powers could have extended to creating life beyond Earth since at least the Middle Ages, and have largely untroubled and have been largely untroubled by the idea. Wilson pointed out that most Christians now believe the story of Genesis to be an allegorical tale rather than a historical text or scientific manual to be taken literally. Interesting. It was not always so. For more than a millennium, in the most European nations and the lands they colonized, the Bible was seen as the most authoritative guide to the origins of life and its place in the universe. However, for almost 25 years, NASA's growing astrobiology department has been seeking new answers to these age-old questions. Senior figure at NASA realized that the space agency, quote, was giving an increased emphasis to questions which before the 20th century had been largely the preserve of philosophy and theology and religion, Pilcher said. You know, what have I been saying? I've been saying this on the Facelikethesun channel almost on every video. I would bring this up, how it's like, hey, the sciences are entering in the conversation of religion, spirituality, the way they put it, philosophy, theology, religion, because of their developments, because of what they're discovering. And man, they're just, they're realizing it now, apparently, here on mainstream news outlets. Okay, quote, it's almost certain that life exists elsewhere than Earth. It's inconceivable to almost anybody in this field that, in the history of the universe, life has only existed on this one little ball of rock around a middle-sized star in just this one little place. If there's life beyond Earth, why do none of the religious texts mention it? Again, a lot of this is framing. You know, it's you have to look at the presuppositional worldview of this entire argument. You know, if you presuppose that a lot of what the theory of evolution tells us, a lot of what half-life science and stuff tells us of how old something is, or how old we are, or how old the world is, you know, it's taking that one worldview of how old something is or how old the world is and applying it to everything. And, you know, that's part of the question here. That's part of questioning and trying to understand what makes more sense. A world that was created by an intelligent creator, or just randomly over time stuff happened and there you go, we're here and blah. Nicholas Copernicus posited in the 16th century that the Earth is not the center of the universe. Charles Lyell set out in the 19th century that the Earth was at least several hundred millions years old, far older than the 6,000 years suggested through a literal reading of Genesis. 20 years later, Charles Darwin explained that all living creatures, including human beings, developed through millions of years of evolution. Many of these ideas proved controversial at the time for religious institutions who were asking why their religious texts contain no mention of heliocentrism, dinosaurs, or evolution. It fed to the old cliche that religion and science are somehow incompatible. But Davison notes that John Wilkins, the Bishop of Chester and founder of the Royal Society in 1660, said, quote, had no doubt that God could have taught us authoritatively about science and the Bible, but instead, quote, left it to us to investigate such topics. Perhaps, you know, they don't quote it here, but I'm guessing he quoted, you know, it's for kings to search out a mystery or search out a man or something like that. So I've heard that being applied to pure science, not scientism, but the pure version of science, of inquiry, of seeking knowledge. Davison says that some of the theologians have gone so far as to suggest that if God revealed himself to humankind in the form of Jesus Christ, he might also have revealed himself to alien species. He cites John Polkinghorne, a theoretical physicist and Anglican priest, who wrote, quote, if little green men on Mars need saving, then God will take little green flesh. Oh. It's poetic, but just so wrong. So wrong. Okay. At least in my opinion. And again, I point back to Romans 8 there. Creation itself. All creation. Not just all creation might include little green men, is all I'm saying. Astrobiology is not so much the search for little green men as the study of the potential of the universe to harbor life, Pilcher said. So again, they're having this broad thing, you know, hit the mainstream, you know, because they want people to have this conversation. They want more academia. They want it to be official. so they can build all the infrastructure. Davidson said he met a number of NASA scientists, including Mary Wojtek, the head of NASA's astrobiology team during the program in Princeton, and found they were, quote, deeply personally interested in how it would be received by the public and how it would impact on questions of value and meaning. Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing already some of it in terms of value and meaning. At this point, at least in Western culture, we have been so bombarded with the idea of aliens through propaganda films and movies and comics and all that kind of stuff, all the predictive programming material, that I don't think this generation, or at least my generation, the youngest generations now, if they were told, like, yeah, we found micro, whatever, even life, like animals or something, animal-like creatures or something on Venus, I mean, people wouldn't budge, really. They'd be like, okay, cool, yeah. I mean, of course, we've been told that, there's billions and billions of planets and stars, and of course, we're gonna find life out there. It would be much more profound for the public if it is a sentient, communicative entity, that appears and can communicate with man, perhaps through some kind of mind control device. We'll get to that story later on. There were times when the prospect of alien life, particularly on Mars, seemed very real and had a huge impact on the public imagination. Goes into some more examples here. War of the Worlds. Let's see. Wilson said of Christian thinking, quote, the majority of people looking at this over the last 2,000 years have had very little problem with the thought that there might be other worlds and strange beasts on them. Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating, too, how they never consider the spiritual realm when we talk about this thing with outer space and all this kind of stuff. It's always like, it always has to be in this physical medium. The physical medium that we have now is the only medium that we will accept as reality, when clearly the Bible speaks of other realms, unseen realms. Romain noted, from a Jewish perspective, this is a quote, from a Jewish perspective, the discovery of other worlds or life forms would not prove a theological problem. This was discussed by some medieval rabbis who said there was nothing in the Hebrew Bible that denied the possibility of extraterrestrial life. In fact, I will go even further and add that according to, oh man, I don't have the info in front of me. I just thought of it now. I made a video years ago of a Jewish rabbi who came out and said that the Hebrews, the Israelites, the Jews, are the aliens from Alpha Centauri or something. And they are here to awaken humanity. And I mean, he's saying this in some kind of like press conference or some kind of study of some kind. And, some people dismiss him as some quack or whatever, but I mean, these are things being said by, official rabbis out there. So, again, the idea has been around for a while. The bigger question for me is why now? Why are we getting the story now? Out of all the times, right as we're about to turn a calendar here, a calendar year anyway, in the Gregorian calendar. Asim pointed to chapter 42, verse 29 of the Quran, which notes, quote, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth and the living creatures that he has scattered through them. He said the Quran, quote, talks about sending a messenger to every community, explaining, quote, if we believe there are communities on other planets in the galaxy, then some sort of revelation of God could have taken place there. Again, notice in this example, it's not, maybe microbes on Europa. This is, no, communities, like intelligent entities like us, maybe not humanoid in shape, but in cognitive ability and communicative ability, in objective mind and that kind of stuff. So again, very different. And we're talking about angels or spirits in the Bible. What are we talking about? We're talking about minds or entities that exist in some other realm, some other place, right? So, Let's see. Davidson has no doubt that it will pay off for religious leaders to think now about the implications of alien life as the prospect of finding it grows more real. And it's got a few more quotes here. I think you get the gist of the story here. Again, my big question here is why now? Why is this story being pushed out there now on the mainstream public? And let me just read a quote from Exo Vaticana, written by Chris Putnam and Tom Horn, to top off this little segment here. Page 330, 337, in the chapter called First Incursion of the Chariots of the Fallen Star Gods. It's talking about some of the views of the ancient astronaut theorists and sort of giving but just the biblical take on it. Let's see. While this event coincides with historical traits of an ancient invasion into man's reality, which men like Eric von Däniken, Zecharia Sitchin, Robert Temple, and others view as the first visit to Earth by extraterrestrial intelligence, in the biblical worldview, the same antediluvian records attest to a different set of facts altogether. They are a record of the fall from heaven to earth by Lucifer, now Satan, who, driven by a quest for worship and thirsty for revenge with Yahweh, not only tempted Eve in the garden, but as a result of man's subsequent inheritable separation with God, moved to corrupt the divine truths contained within the original revelation by proclaiming himself, the God of the air, more worthy of worship than was the God of heaven. If such an assumption of the biblical view is correct, that a real and diabolical presence entered man's materiality, harvested and manipulated the genetics of creation, and set in motion a cosmic conspiracy concerning the true origins of life on Earth, in parentheses, the ancient astronaut theory, the following questions arise. 1. Do the living entities of such ancient gods continue to manipulate humans and animal DNA as part of an aeons-old plan? Possible. Likely, in my opinion. 2. Are they currently at work preparing a final act, something similar in appearance to the first incursion of Earth, but so astonishing and of such inexplicable technological and intimidating contrivances that the very appearance of it will, if possible, deceive the very elect? Readers will be stunned to learn in the following chapters that institutional forces, both governmental and religious, have already started preparing for just a scenario. And it mentions how they look at the exotheological plan by the Vatican itself for the arrival of an alien savior intelligence and its connection with Petrus Romanus, the final pope. So there you go. That's from page 337 of Exo Vaticana. I think it summarizes well kind of where we're at now and what we're looking at here. With this story. And I just think it's going to have to be this profound revealing. Otherwise, no one cares. No one's going to budge. All right, sweet. There's some germs on the moon. Ooh, we found aliens. No, not really. But if an entity shows up, and especially if they show up in the metaverse, you know, if there's some kind of code disruption, right? Some kind of cyber pandemic, and we need an advanced coder to come help. And that happens to be an alien that knows how to code super fast with his brain jacked into the Neuralink, Starlink, linked, everything hive mind. You know, people might get really, really into that and want to partake in the powers of this entity. And therefore the mark of the beast prophecies are fulfilled and all that kind of stuff. So, check out this book if you haven't. It is one of the staple books. I guess 2013 when it was released, March 26th, 2013. Exo Vaticana, Petrus Romanus, Project Lucifer, and the Vatican's astonishing plan for the arrival of an alien savior. I know L.A. Marzulli has been talking about this for years, about all the UFOs over all the major cities and stuff like that. Potential scenario as well. But it's interesting to have this story in the mainstream as we move into 2022. I have this as just kind of a topper offer here of the segment from inverse.com. At least 70, interesting number for all you biblical scholars out there, 70 free floating planets found in the Milky Way. Now, they're just finding planets all over the place. It's just so convenient. So every time they look up, like, oh, more planets. Are they around stars? No, they're just floating around. Oh, kind of like what some people have been talking about, Planet X. No, that's crazy conspiracy theory. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, there you go. At least 70 free floating planets allegedly floating around up there in the oceans above. Okay, what are we going to next here? It's Corona time.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19,
COVID-19. Yes.
COVID-19, COVID-19. Coronavirus.
Vaccine, number one way.
Vaccine, number one way. First story here from usatoday.com. FDA OKs second antiviral with Merck pill. Semicolon. U.S. relaxes COVID isolation rules for health workers. Colon. COVID updates. So USA Today story. Thanks, USA Today. I don't know if that's our actual article that I wanted to start with. I guess it is. FDA OKs second Merck pill. So, yeah, I guess that's the note here. A day after authorizing the first antiviral pill to treat COVID-19, the Food and Drug Administration on Thursday authorized a second, Merck's Molnupiravir. This is the stuff that's similar to ivermectin, if I'm not mistaken. And if you recall, Merck was the company who wrote the letter that said, hey, ivermectin, we don't have enough data on ivermectin, so yeah, don't use it. And then all the authorities ran with that letter. And we reported a while ago, it was I guess a paper that was written by one of the Nobel Prize winners of the discovery or invention of ivermectin. There was an American guy. There was a Japanese doctor as well. It was following the Japanese doctor's lab and his paper saying, like, there's tons of evidence that ivermectin helps at the very least, in treating, maybe not like, fix or whatever. And Merck just came out and said, not enough evidence exists. And then all of mainstream media, including the FDA and the World Health Organization, repeated that line. There is not enough information. Everybody else taking it is taking horse tranquilizer. And, that whole thing happened. So anyway, yeah, of course, Merck is going to say no to a white label product because they need to have their own name on a label so they can make money. It's like, in some ways, it's kind of like selling water. You can find water at a well, but hey, wouldn't it be easier if you just put it in a plastic bottle, ship it around? All right. The prescription medication, which can be taken at home, is designed to stop the progression of COVID-19 from mild to severe symptoms in people at high risk. In data presented to an FDA advisory panel in late November, the drug was shown to prevent 30% of infections from progressing, far fewer than Pfizer's antiviral Paxlovid, which the FDA authorized on Wednesday. Molnupiravir, produced also by Ridgeback Biotherapeutics, should be given within 5 days of COVID-19 symptoms beginning and should only be given to adults because it may affect bone and cartilage growth, the FDA noted. How bad do you want to fight COVID? Oh, man. Might affect my bone and cartilage growth. But hey, we got to fight COVID. Everything we can do to fight COVID. The drug is not recommended for use during pregnancy because animal studies suggest it may damage the fetus. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Good pill. Good pill to approve there, FDA. Appreciate that. We do. We thank you, FDA, for all the hard work that you've put in. Yes, but Merck is not alone here. According to the New York Times, COVID news, White House promises more COVID treatments. British researchers find that Omicron effects seem less severe. The FDA authorizes Pfizer's COVID pills for high-risk patients 12 and older, a treatment that could be available within days. And I am guessing / hoping that this pill is different in chemistry than is the what is this called? Molnupiravir by Merck, because it'd be really bad if Merck is like, hey, don't give it to children. It's going to affect, bone growth and cartilage growth. And Pfizer's like, hey, 12 and up. Hey, you're pretty much full grown at 12 anyway, right? You're all good to go. I'm pretty sure the pills are different, but still, the optics are not good here. Okay, what's a real story here? Well, I guess what we like to do also is check the fact checks. These mainstream outlets love the fact check. They're putting all these wild conspiracy theories or theorists or whatever in their place. And one place that does it is IFLScience.com. I will not repeat what the IFL stands for, but they're hip science outlet. And they have a headline here: fact check. Will we be microchipped with vaccine passports? There's this gruesome picture of a hand with a little slit in the wrist, a little microchip. Looks like a what are those chips called on the cards? I forget what they're called. It's not RFID, is it? Maybe it is. I forget what they're called. Those little chips that are on your credit card and everything now. Okay, so the article. Claim. Vaccine opponents' fears of implantable chips have been proven right with the announcement. SIM card, thank you. Announcement of an implantable vaccine passport, possibly indicating the coming of the Antichrist. And it's linked to a Twitter account, Jimmy Flinder89. I'm just going to check it out real quick here. I'm just curious, because I got banned off Twitter here and for saying something similar. Well, this guy just straight up quoted Revelation 13, 16, and 17. Yeah, this video has 3.8 million views shared by AFP News Agency. The story about the microchip implant in the hand, the same one that got me banned from Twitter. And I did appeal, and I said, hey, this story is kind of mainstream. Like, I don't understand what fake news I said that got me banned. But anyway, so there you go. That's the link there for coming of the Antichrist. Reality. So that's the claim. The claim is that it's, all that stuff. Reality. A small company is promoting the capacity of their pre-existing chips to bring up vaccine passports on phones placed nearby. It has no government endorsement, let alone compulsion. In a public relations nightmare for scientists and a gift to anti-vaxxers, a Swedish startup has proposed to incorporate vaccine passports into scannable implants. The technology is very different from the fictitious trackers that conspiracy theorists have claimed will be incorporated in vaccines for the last 2 years. However, the two sound similar enough that the "we told you so" posts are already starting. We're not saying that they said it was a microchip with a COVID passport in it. Well, it's a microchip with a COVID passport in it, but they're wrong, see? Although designed to make it easier for vaccinated people to prove it, many fear the publicity around this will make it harder to persuade the vaccine hesitant. I would think so. I mean, those are somewhat true statements, but yeah, again, who's the culprit here? Disruptive subdermals market 2mm by 14mm implants that can be inserted under the skin and read by a scanner. Having failed to find many markets for previous uses of the implants, now are They are now promoting their capacity to send readers to a PDF of vaccine status. Quote, I have a chip implant in my arm, and I have programmed the chip so that I have my COVID passport on the chip, and the reason is that I always want to have it accessible. The company's managing director, Gonz Schloblad, told AFP. Schloblad has been pushing the idea of inserting microchips into humans for at least 3 years. Yeah, so people like us, we've been reporting on this for at least 3 years, or at least the years that the story came out in, 2016 or something, 2016 or 17? He told ABC News back in 2018. So ABC News 2018, but we know the story was floating around even before that. At the time, he predicted the technology would be everywhere within a year or two, something that notably didn't happen. Oh, too bad. I'm sure they're just waiting for it. I can keep reading this, but I think most of you understand what's happening here. Well, let me just get to at least a certain part here. Unlike non-marsupial pets, however, humans usually have pockets on our clothing in which we can keep cards and a phone that can perform the same function as an implanted chip, so the advantage is much less clear. Schoblad's implants are compatible with many card-reading devices, and he has installed features such as his Swedish railway pass on his implant. The vaccine passport is just the latest edition. Quote, if I go to the movies or go to a shopping center, then people will be able to check my status even if I don't have my phone, Schloblad said to AFP. The chip can only be read in very close proximity, not used to track a location, except for the fact that your data will be left at wherever you got read or scanned. But let's not talk about that part of it, but, you're not going to be tracked. Kind of. Schloblad argues he's never in danger of losing his chip and doesn't need to worry about leaving the house without it. He runs, quote, implant parties, where he promotes the idea, comparing the procedure to getting a piercing. Hey, that's another point there. I'm going to give a ding there. Because a lot of times we've heard about tattoos and piercings, and I know a lot. It's kind of like the conservative view of it's bad. And look, I'm not saying everybody that gets a piercing or ear piercing or nose piercing or anything pierced really, you're necessarily unsaved or you are abandoning your salvation or anything like that. But the sentiment of, hey, this is leading to a more accepting culture of an implantable microchip. Those people were right. They're admitting it too. Inevitably, not everyone is so taken with the idea. Oh, you think? An implant enthusiast lost a court case when he tried to use a similar chip for Sydney's public transport system. Yeah, I don't think policy-wise we're there yet. We're not at the point where governments can be like, yes, well, actually, I'm sorry, Canada. I can picture Trudeau doing it. Getting the implant on air and then talking to the people like he cares and letting them all know you will be chipped and you will like it. Anyway. I always think of Trudeau when I think of like totalitarian moves. Like, he's so soft-spoken. He's so quiet and gentle, but he's saying like the most horrific things about government overreach and totalitarian authoritarianism. Anyway, Schloblad rejects making the implants compulsory, but inevitably there are fears that's where this push will take us. If most people adopt the idea, the argument goes, companies or governments may refuse to accept evidence in traditional card form, shutting those without an implant out of modern life. Oh, that's his dream right there. Oh, how are you going to pay this, Sir Rosewater? And Basil will pull out his card. My hefty, nifty card. And they will say, oh, we cannot prove that you are the owner of this card. And they'll say, well, but it's my card. And they'll say, not good enough. We must scan your implant so we know because it's in you. We're not long away from that, however. The adoption is likely to be much slower than Sjoblad expects. Aside from those worried about the pain, the €100 price, or $112 tag, will be off-putting to many. Government could subsidize that. They can bust out $112 for their citizens to get microchips. If they can do the vaccines, they can do this. And of course, even those who like the convenience may see the idea of being permanently readable as a bug, not a feature. Even if such chips remain a tiny niche market, however, it's almost inevitable. Anti-vaccination campaigners will use the idea to promote fear. Indeed, it has started already. And they have just a guy saying, Book of Revelations. It's okay. It's okay. Breathe. Okay, breathe. It's okay. Some people don't get that it's singular, that it's the book of Revelation. It's the revelation of Jesus Christ, but it's okay. It's okay, Jans. Looks like you're from another country. You're good. Chapter 13, Holy Bible, Mark of the Beast. This is what's linked to the article. Good job. Who is this outlet here? Oh my gosh, I lost my spot. Oh no. Okay, here we go. IFL Science. Oh, that's why. Yeah, let's link to this guy who quoted Revelation 13. Look at all this horrible anti-vax talk going on. People bringing up Bible verses. It's insane. This is crazy. All right, so they post a bunch of stuff and end of argument. Good job, IFL Science. So the argument is, hey, are we going to be microchipped with vaccine passports? And their response is, well, there are people getting microchipped with vaccine passports under their skin, but it's not government, and they're not forcing you to do it. So you're wrong, conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxers. I don't know. The margins are getting pretty thin here with these fact checks and trying to debunk these conspiratorial views of the fringe, who think it's crazy that the elite would be trying to control humanity by implanting everybody with microchips. Anyway, so I just thought that was an interesting little article to keep this conversation in the mainstream. That's another thing too. We always talk about it from this angle, but why does it continue to exist in the mainstream? I think it's because, number one, the conversation is going to heat up more and more as time goes on. And eventually, I think what they're hoping for is a political movement. And you talk about the hyper leftist progressive types. I would imagine that they are, and this is an assumption by me. I'm not saying this is factual. It's an observational opinion that they are more likely to accept a microchip tracking device to comply with some kind of government mandate, or perhaps some kind of world institutional mandate, the World Health Organization, the FDA, something. To prevent some kind of or protect themselves from some kind of outbreak. We know this is where this is headed. I don't even have to articulate all of it. People know what I'm talking about here. This idea that we're going to continue on this path of what we're seeing in Australia and New Zealand and certain parts of the world where you're locked down, you can't go anywhere, you're being checked if you're in your location by the government. It's a very, very small step to go from what's happening now around the world because of the pandemic, scamdemic, and where things can go in the near future. And certain communities might be forced into this. And this is where we'll see true upheaval and true disruption, like social, civil disruption, is when I think they do like hey, all of India is going to get microchipped, or else you can't participate in the economy. Something like that. We're talking major displacement, people migrating. A whole bunch of Indian people are going to move. They're not. It's going to just anyway. You know where this is headed. We all know. I can go off on this tangent forever, so I'll stop myself here. But yes, thank you. IFLScience.com fact check. Will we be microchipped with vaccine passports? Well, no, but you're not really denying the fact in this article that people are microchipping themselves with vaccine passports. So again, the margins are thinning. Your place of higher ground, or so you think, when it comes to these topics, are starting to level out. So anyway, moving on here. Daily Beast. Here's another one. COVID deniers have an absurd new conspiracy theory about Omicron. I guess this is from November 29th. Just absurd conspiracy is absurd in it of itself. Okay, COVID-19 deniers are seizing on ridiculous new theories on social media about the virus's latest Omicron variant, suggesting that it is part of a government hoax because a rearrangement of its letters can be used to spell the word moronic. And we've known this, but wow, man. It's just very interesting. Daily Beast. Others have shared posts that include a screenshot from the World Health Organization website citing the agency's announcement of the virus's first outbreak on January 20th, 2020, and suggesting a diabolical link after the agency published a statement on the Omicron variant 666 days later on November 26th, 2021. So there you go. I'm learning about some of these conspiracies from Daily Beast. I mean, I knew about the Omicron moronic thing, but who's saying that that's proof that it's a government conspiracy? I don't know. Maybe some people are. And it's certainly strange. It's, again, 666 days between the announcement of the virus's first outbreak and the announcement of Omicron. Again, I say, if not done on purpose with stuff like that, it's a spiritual imprint. The ethereal, non-corporeal designs of an intelligent entity trying to mess with us and leaving its true intentions behind in certain ways. And this could be one of them. So there you go. That's Daily Beast. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, we have yes. Another rant-worthy thing here. This is just a tweet here from Dylan Bergen. And they say here, our latest @19 documenting investigation found a variety of reasons for undercounting COVID deaths. Okay, so this little thread here I wanted to include because if you recall, about, my gosh, we're in December 2021. It had to have been summer of 2020. Yeah, summer of 2020, maybe June, July, August, somewhere around there. And I know I did a big, long tweet thread about it in November or December, and it had to do with the protocol of presented by the World Health Organization of how to label these deaths, how to label, a person who died from COVID. And I found a lot of problems with just the way they were explaining it. They're like, even if there's no lab confirmed COVID, use your judgment. If they were coughing, if they're sick, use your judgment, which is kind of like, okay, that's very unscientific to be like, based on the guy's feeling at the time, and I found a problem with that. And I think this thread here, I'll read some of it, is interesting because the argument that they're making is, because of these reasons, we way undercounted COVID deaths. And if you pay attention, real closely, you can make the exact same argument for the opposite direction. You can use all these arguments and say, this is why we completely overcounted on COVID. All right, so here's what it says. Chief among them, short-staffed, undertrained and overworked coroners and medical examiners who were overwhelmed by the surge in deaths and took families at their word. What? Took families at their word? Okay. All right. That's interesting. Is this the article attached to it? I thought it was a longer thread that he had here. Maybe not. Okay, he connects it to the article here from USA Today. Unaccounted, inaccurate death certificates across the country hide the true toll of COVID-19. Let's see. We can read through here. Nationwide, nearly 1 million more people have died in 2020 and 2021 than in normal pre-pandemic years, but about 800,000 deaths have been officially attributed to COVID-19, according to CDC data. A majority of these additional 195,000 deaths are unidentified COVID-19 cases. An investigation by Documenting COVID-19, the USA Today network, and experts reveals why so many deaths have gone unaccounted. After overwhelming the nation's healthcare system, the coronavirus evaded its antiquated, decentralized system of investigating and recording deaths. Interesting thing to mention there. Let's see. After overwhelming the nation's healthcare system, the coronavirus evaded its antiquated, decentralized system of investigating and recording deaths. You mean people in their own practice, used their own judgment or their own scientific training, to determine if somebody died of COVID or not, that it's, I don't know. It's just a very interesting thing to point out there. And the fact that, the decentralized thing doesn't work. We need one centralized, rule. This is part of the globalization and the New World Order thing, to have one rule that governs this whole thing altogether. No, this is ridiculous. Short-staffed, undertrained and overworked coroners and medical examiners took families at their word when they called to report the death of a relative at home. Coroners and medical examiners didn't review medical histories. Again, okay, let me finish the sentence. Coroners and medical examiners didn't review medical histories or order tests to look for COVID-19. They and some physicians attributed deaths to inaccurate and nonspecific causes that are meaningless to pathologists. In some cases, stringent rules for attributing a death to COVID-19 created obstacles for relatives of the deceased and contradicted CDC guidance. Again, they're saying all this happened, and that's why the death count is underreported. More people died than we reported. When it's like, wait a minute, the more logical thing from this set of issues of, hey, the medical examiners didn't review the history, didn't order they didn't even test them if they had COVID, these dead bodies. Okay. I don't know. It seems like the entire number would be unreliable and perhaps overstated, especially if there is a financial incentive for a lab or a coroner's office or a medical facility to have COVID-related deaths, and many of them. It's good for attention, it's good for funding, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, really? I don't know. These trends are clear in small cities and rural areas with less access to healthcare and fewer physicians. They're especially pronounced in rural areas of the South and Western USA, areas that heavily voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election. Oh, those Trumpers. Lafayette Parish, Louisiana, Hinds and Rankin counties in Mississippi, and Cape Girardeau County, Missouri, are 4 of the 10 counties with the greatest spike in deaths not attributed to COVID-19. So they're trying to say, see, these communities, the death count spiked, and they're saying it's not from COVID, but we think it's from COVID. Or the other possibility is these communities didn't buy the nonsense globalist, World Health Organization way to count deaths, and they were doing it their own way that they've been doing it in their communities as they've been trained or whatever. and they were more honest about it. And so it's proof that perhaps if everybody was more honest about the numbers, there would be much less official COVID-related deaths, or, COVID deaths, period. When you use the word related, it starts to get messy there too. And it goes on here. I don't think we need to necessarily dig into all the details here. Errors on death certificates aren't limited to COVID-19. For example, the CDC puts the number of drug and alcohol-induced deaths in Maryland 21% higher in 2020 than state figures. Oh, your numbers are higher than they're supposed to be. Kind of like how maybe the CDC's reporting of the deaths from COVID are higher than reality. Nearly a third of all deaths in the USA from senility, I think that's how you say it, in 2020 and 2021 were registered in 4 counties in and around Tampa, Florida. The regional medical examiner said his office isn't responsible. The nation's struggle with recording COVID-19 fatalities underscores a truism about death. Where people live and die has a lot to do with the accuracy of their death certificate. Some deaths are investigated with state-of-the-art technology and expertise. Others don't go beyond a phone call from the family. Wow. You know what's going to change a lot of this type of thing where, the latest technologies and state-of-the-art, stuff, keeping people alive in the world after they have physically passed on. It's the blockchain.
Blockchain.
I'm telling you, folks, we're entering a very strange and weird world where people will live on the blockchain. All right. Where are we doing? How are we doing time-wise? Okay, we're doing okay. My gosh. Oh, take a deep breath here. Let me take a break and thank some people. But before we do, let me tell you about a different kind of, not a microchip party, but a but a CanaryCry.Party.
Party time.
Type into your search bar CanaryCry.Party, and it'll take you to the CanaryCry LINKTREE, where you can sign up to our email list. You can explore all the platforms where we currently live stream. You can connect with others on social media, and you can support the show by clicking on that wiggly button right at the top there. It's a Produce the Show Now button. You can become a producer now. I'm hearing a little bit of buzz on my microphone. I don't know if that's bothering anybody else, but I had to deal with it today. Sorry about that. I should probably fix some of my wiring down here when I get a chance. But all right, let's take a break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and I mean quick, because we're here to thank some producers. And yes, we have producers of the show, because that's how we roll. We roll with the value for value model, which means that we produce content and it's out there for free. Anybody can consume the content. It is available with no barriers to entry. But there are those who uphold what we do here for free with their treasure. And by helping us out with their treasure, they are effectively producers in the official sense. And remember, producers out there, you can always include your producerships in your resume or your CV. Eventually, what's going to happen, as I talk about the blockchain here, eventually what's going to happen is everybody's going to have a digital asset wallet. I'm picking my words carefully. I don't think it's going to... I think they're going to try to kill the word crypto. I know cryptocurrency is the word that describes all that stuff now, but eventually I think they're going to move away from the word cryptocurrency. They're going to go towards digital asset. So people are going to have digital asset wallets, that they can access from various devices. and then you'll be able to have your credentials of it, whatever you want there that you want public. And perhaps in the future, each producer will have their own digital asset wallet that has all kinds of producership proofs in it, to prove forevermore that they were producers of the show. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to thank some producers here because, there are people that made this show, this episode 427, possible. And I'm not going to be like Basil and rant on and on about how this all works and how the advertising agencies and big pharma, big tech, they're all here. And this is all part of Web 2.0 too, by the way. Web 2.0, the big issue was the product became us. The people, the users of the platforms became the product. And that's a big problem that supposedly, I think different problems will arise, because we're still in this fallen state. But there is a transition to Web 3, and that's part of the reason why. And the value for value model, in many ways, is much more compatible to a Web 3, where a lot more will be transparent. And, we've been tracking the word transparency when it comes to the world institutions and governments and banks and stuff like that. And it'll be true for all kinds of organizations, corporations, and even organizations like us. Like even now, if you, we have our public crypto wallets, you can actually go look on the blockchain explorer and take a look at how much Bitcoin we have in those wallets. It's all public. So you can see our war chest. So that's the kind of world we're moving into. And the people that are helping us do that are the producers. So we're going to thank some producers here now. We're going to start things off with the executive producer. Oh, you know what? Before we do, actually, let me do a quick refresh as I do admin work here, along with producing the show, along with talking. It's a lot of multitasking happening here. All right. Come on, browser. Let's go. Okay, we got a couple more people come in. Oh, all right. I will have to add this person into the thing here. All right. We are going to start things off with the executive producer for episode 427, and that is David F.
Where'd you find this?
And David F comes in with $108.44. He has a note here. Love the show, guys. I also want to promote thefountain.app. I met a fellow believer who has helped me strengthen my faith in Christ. Merry Christmas. Keep up the good work. All right. And for those of you who don't know, thefountain.app is an app that we did not create. One of the producers created as a way for people that think like us, a little bit fringier on the truther side, to meet other, let me just say, single truther people, to meet each other. It's a great way to interact in that way. A place where, it's kind of like the Canary Cry community, but with the openness of romance as the theme for the fountain.app. So I'm glad people are meeting like-minded people and are forming relationships there. So that's a great thing. We want to see more of that. So, yes, thank you very much, David F., executive producer for episode number 427. And as an associate executive producer for episode 427, we have Stephen T.
Yes, you man, you are executive associate producer for this episode. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Stephen T comes in and has a note here. Merry Christmas. Jesus rules, in all caps. And women, too. I appreciate you guys. God bless. Thank you very much, Stephen T. We truly appreciate it. And yes, women do rule.
Women rule!
Just as Governor Newsom says. Oh, the day I long for the day I'll say, former Governor Newsom. It'll happen one day. Okay, so continuing on here. Thank you very much, Stephen T, for the associate executive producership. Very generous. Thank you for the executive producer and associate executive producers of the show for today. And I want to thank some of our calendar producers. And I actually, Basil's usually the one doing the backroom administrative work on the calendars and coordinating with all the calendar creators and everything else. But I do think we've got to be coming up close to the end of having these available. I think you still can come in with them, but we did get a good number of people come in with a producership to grab a calendar. And again, this calendar is all producer made. The artwork, the dates, the specific interesting dates that are all scattered throughout the calendar, the actual printing of the calendar, the shipping of the calendar, all done by producers. We're very grateful for that, and definitely will be a collectible item as years go by. And it's a great tradition that started here by producers for the Canary Cry listeners. And if you want to be a producer, there you go. Be a producer, grab a calendar. And okay, we're going to thank some of our calendar producers now. We have Jennifer A.B. Thank you, Jennifer A.B., for coming in with the calendar. Next up, Thomas C. Thank you, Thomas C. We have Liz D. Thank you, Liz D. Next, we have Hannah G. Thank you, Hannah. Next up, Lori G. I actually think Hannah and Lori, I think they're related somehow. I don't exactly know how, but I get the feeling. Palmer B. Thank you, Palmer B. We have Austin A. Thank you, Austin A. We also have Chris M. Thank you, Chris M. We have Shagan. That's Shay and Reagan coming in with the calendar. And Lalita C. Oh, the gong is giving people headaches. Oh, no, I hope... Hold on, let me turn down the gong. I know, I've thought about that, too, sometimes, where that thing can get very annoying if we're doing long lists. I should find a more soothing sound for the gong there. But I'll think of something. So thank you very much to all of the calendar producers there. The calendars are being scooped up by people all around the country and the world. Just in today's list here, I won't dox people specifically, but we got orders for the calendar from Idaho, Indiana, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Canada. So if you're in some of those regions and you're a listener and you didn't get a calendar, then know that there are fellow Canarians nearby. So there you go. So thank you very much, all the calendar producers. Appreciate that. Continuing on here, thanking the other producers who have come in. This is where I'm going to put here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yes. Sorry, I have to do the administrative work and paste stuff in here and check streaks because this one is on a streak. It's Heather Sir Russ. Hopefully that gong is a little quieter. Won't give a headache. Heather Sir Russ is on a streak. Let's see how many is the streak? 41 episodes in a row.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Came in with 50-50. Ooh, I wonder if... Oh. I'm hoping this wasn't the nifty 50 level, because then I would be messing things up. But they also came in with a note here. Hey, Gonz, hope you had a good Christmas. We came in with 50-50 for the odds Basil was going to make it for the show. Oh, there you go. You're right, 50-50. It's going the other way now to maybe 0. Keep up the good work while spreading the good word. Can we get a Howard Dean, Hairy Legs, much love, Heather Russ, and Of course, we can do a little bit of hairy legs. And Howard Dean.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
It's all about the rhythm. Thank you, Heather Sir Russ. Appreciate it. Let me make sure I get all the information in here so we can keep track of the streaks. Next up, we have Palmer B. Thank you, Palmer B. Palmer B is on a streak. 6 episodes in a row, which means he is on fire. He's on fire! And Palmer B also came in with the calendar. So thank you very much, Palmer B. Came in with 3463. I'm guessing that's maybe 33 with fees. Happy Monday, y'all. And the message said, end of message. I don't know if that was part of the message or not. But yes, happy Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
The last Monday of 2021. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Time goes by faster than a looping ring elephant. Next up, we have JC. JC is on a streak. 52 episodes in a row. And he comes in with 3333.
Illuminatus!
He has a note here. The Lord bless you and keep you. I would not be a watchman without your ministry, nor would I be the believer I am today. Many planted seeds, but the Lord provided the growth. I will never repay the value that you two have provided. Well, thank you very much. But all the thanks goes to God. You know, we're just kind of doing our thing here. The way God uses the stuff we say, you know, that's all him. So, but we appreciate it. Thank you so much, JC. I guess 8 more to get to that 60 streak level. Man, some of these streakers, you guys are on it. Next up, we have Juan A. Juan A is back. He came in with 3333.
Illuminatus!
He has a note. Watched Home Alone 2 Sat night with the fam. Interesting to note that when he's on top of the World Trade Center, while the camera fades out, the scene immediately right after all says airport security. Merry Christmas. Yeah, the predictive programming when you go back to those movies in the 90s, especially 9/11 stuff, it's pretty wild. I can't remember the name of the one movie where they're like controlling an airplane from a computer, and they're like flying the planes into the World Trade Center. That one is the most egregious one. It's like, oh, okay, all right, well, they showed us what they kind of did or planned to do. Either way, so yes, a lot of predictive programming in a lot of movies. And Home Alone, man, that movie, that was like the. Home Alone 2 as well, but they were always on TV, you know, and I'd have teachers that would, during the season, would just, you know, we wouldn't learn anything, just put on movies, you know, and Home Alone 2 was always on. But yeah, well, those are the old days, the 90s when I was a wee little boy. Thank you, 1A, appreciate it. Next up, we have Jackie U. And Jackie U is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Came in twice, 1232. And again, 1232. I didn't see a note. But thank you very much, Jackie U. Next up, we have William F. William F comes in with 1175. Is that 1111 with fees? I don't know. These are things Basil knows. I kind of go with the flow with that stuff. I can't keep track of everything. But William F., he has a note here. Don't ever quit doing what you guys were put on this earth to do, because the day that you stop spreading the truth is the day that people will stop being willing to die for it. God bless you, you all and your families, William F. Well, thank you very much, William F. And thank you for that. He will give us a longer note that went into a little bit more detail about how he ran into the show and stuff. And I would say that William F. here his cage was rattled by perhaps a mother of his. But thank you very much, William F. Appreciate it. Next up, we have producer Morv. And Morv is on a streak. 36 episodes in a row. He came in with 11. Thank you very much, Morv. Next up, Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes. And Sir Salmon's is on a streak. 8 episodes in a row, coming in with an 11. And he says, has a note, Happy Monday, all.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Hope everyone had a great Christmas weekend. Recently saw the new Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Super solid, and there was a line out of the movie theater to see it. Reminds me of Before the Times. Many blessings from the fishes. Thank you very much, Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes. And yeah, seeing a line outside, especially if there's people not wearing masks, you know, you're kind of like, oh yeah, sweet, like the old days. There's always like a couple people that are like, oh my gosh, this is the super spreader event. I have not seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man. People are saying it's good, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in there too. So not enough time to get around to seeing all that stuff. The most recent thing that I've seen over Christmas break, we watched Encanto. This is a Disney kids movie. A lot of occult themes going on there too. Like supernatural gifts for the children of the family based on the house. All kinds of crazy stuff. Probably nothing, you know. Anyway, thank you very much, Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes. Appreciate it. Next up, we have James H. James H came in with 831. I think that's pocket full of sevens plus fees, if I'm not mistaken. No note. And I don't think you're on a streak, James H, but I appreciate it. Good seeing you. Next up, we have Rung Smash. And Rung Smash is on a streak. 51 episodes in a row, and he came in with 43.96 Dogecoin.
Is this a crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
Yeah, Doge is a crypto. I think Doge actually recently, there was some deal, or they're working with somebody on Ethereum, and they're going to make staking happen or something like that, but whatever. There's always development happening. They would have to fork the main chain there with Doge, so we'll see what happens. But thank you very much, Rung Smash. And, I'll have to check. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we do have a microfiction for today. All right, I'll get to that in the next break here. Appreciate that. Rung Smash. All right, where are we? Okay, next up, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Sir Scott is on a streak.
Yeah!
Quicker.
Oh, yeah. 89 episodes in a row. He comes in with a pocket full of sevens. Thank you very much, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. And that does it for all the producers coming in with $7.77 or more, which entitles you to having a note read. Those who came in below 777, we have James J. Thank you very much, James J. Next up, we have Dr. Who Done Dat, who is on a streak, 36 episodes in a row. Thank you, Dr. Who Done Dat. Then we have Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. Oh, man. And he's on a streak.
Yeah!
Quicker.
Oh, yeah! Man, thank you so much.
99 episodes in a row. 99 episodes in a row. That's inconceivable to me. I have no idea how that even happens. Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, just one away from hitting 100 episodes producing the show. Or at least producing the show in a row, which is crazier. So thank you very much, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. We will anticipate number 100 coming up here We'll see when that 100 happens. Could be this year, 2021. Could be 2022. Maybe kick off the year with a 100 episode streak. We'll see. Not too far behind. Gail M. is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
65 episodes in a row, coming in with a pocket full of threes a couple times. Maybe a pocket full of threes for each pocket there. And also, right with you, Gail, at 65 episodes in a row on their streak is Veronica D.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
All right, that does it for all of the producers who came in with their treasure. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. We really can't do the show without you, and you're a big part of it. So thank you so much, and let's keep going. Let's keep doing the show.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Welcome to Chinese Show!
Mind control weapons.
Ooh, mind control weapons. Specifically, Chinese mind control weapons. Oh no, what is happening? I thought this was all crazy conspiracy theory. Yahoo News, mirroring a Fox News story. China reportedly working on brain control weapons. I have the video here. So, and that jingle you heard, by the way, I threw it together before this episode, and it comes from this clip. But here we go. This is the report from Fox News. China reportedly working on brain control weapons.
Reportedly looking for a way to teach soldiers to operate weapons with just their minds. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has that story.
It would be literally like putting a device into your brain that can launch a missile.
Whoa!
It sounds like a sci-fi thriller.
Whoever produced that, good job. You know, that little quote about the mind control rocket, and then the just scary rocket.
A device into your brain that can launch a missile.
It sounds like a sci-fi thriller. New intelligence shows China is using technologies like gene editing and brain-machine interfaces to enhance military capabilities and control its own people. Machines that could allow a Chinese commando to discharge a weapon with just a thought, not a trigger finger.
That's what they mean by brain control technology. It's like a new field.
This month, the Biden administration...
Hold on. It is not a new field. It has been, this is not only has the U.S. government been in this realm for decades minimum, but if you look at the history of the mystery school religions, of esoteric philosophy, of the story of ascension, the story of mind, of spirituality, the alchemy. This has been like the goal for forever. But yeah, anyway, it hits mainstream news. It's a new thing now.
To discharge a weapon with just a thought, not a trigger finger.
That's what they mean by brain control technology. It's like a new field.
This month, the Biden administration targeted the emerging threat by levying sanctions on 37 Chinese biotechnology companies.
Sorry, I keep disrupting this clip here, but for those of you just listening, they're actually listing on the screen. They're scrolling through all the names of these institutes, and wow, it is a lot.
That have ties to this research that experts say include so-called mind control weapons. Former DNI John Ratcliffe warns against the U.S. trying to keep up with China's unscrupulous efforts.
We're not going to place our own soldiers, sailors, and airmen at risk
which is what the intelligence tells us the Chinese are willing to do. They want to advance at any cost, including those that are harmful to their own population.
The U.S. has no scruples about smearing China by every means.
The Pentagon says Beijing already uses these technologies, including biometric surveillance tools and facial recognition, to track dissidents and journalists and to suppress the Uyghurs.
Broadly speaking, we see that China and their military continues to develop advanced technologies and capabilities which are clearly designed to reinforce their very coercive, very aggressive behavior.
Republican lawmakers have called on Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, whose department levied the latest sanctions against dozens of Chinese biotech companies, to do more. Senator Marco Rubio has proposed a bill to restrict U.S. investment in more Chinese military companies that may one day produce mind control weapons.
Mind control weapons.
Mind control weapons.
It's the perfect little thing there for jingle makers. So there you go. It makes it sound like the U.S. is not willing to go there. According to John Ratcliffe here, like, hey, we're not putting our own soldiers and military people under risk, which is, I don't know. You know, the U.S. military has done it. Maybe they have, instead of people, they have a cage full of gorillas or something that they weaponized, some animal. But either way, how are we going to fight this? If China's doing the wars and rumors of wars of this whole thing here, and the excuses, anytime there is a war, there is funding, there is policy change. And in this regard, what do you do? You know, as a military, a publicly facing military intelligence director, national intelligence director, and communicating these things to the general public, what do you do if China's basically, revealing the cat out of the bag with the capabilities of this technology and how they can militarize it, and they're just kind of moving forward with all that? What are we supposed to do? And it's another one of those things that we've been talking about for years on Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk and the Facelikethesun channel. And it's just so funny how the guy was like, it's a new field. No, it's not a new field of technology or anything like that. If you recall, back on originally published April 16th, 2014, Canary Cry Radio episode 67, The Artilect War with Dr. Hugo de Garis. Dr. Hugo de Garis, and I was going to clip this from the show, but you guys can go back and listen to it. He talks about how he was in China, like he was living in China, helping to reverse engineer the human brain so that they can control it. And he was like, I don't really agree with what you guys are doing. Like, ethically, I don't agree with it. And the only reason why he lived was because he was a foreigner. If he was like a Chinese citizen, grew up in China, and he was like, I don't know if this is ethical, he would have been, disappeared. But because he's a foreigner, he was able to just get kicked off the whole project. But he got to live in China or whatever. Wrote his book, Artilect War. But he was talking about it. And I think this was maybe early 80s, mid 80s or something like that, when he was working with China to reverse engineer the brain. So, I mean, again, old stuff hitting mainstream news now. And the question is why? Why are we hearing about this now? Why is Fox News having a full report on it? Why is Yahoo News sharing a Fox story so it gets more distribution? Why are they sharing it on Christmas Day? There's all kinds of questions. Maybe they think people are hanging out with family. They're not going to really see the story, but we need to roll it out there. We got to tell the public what we're up to. So, I don't know. Just a very, very interesting, strange thing that verifies or validates some important talking points that we've been sharing, covering for the last decade. And, part of it too, just the potential capabilities of the man of sin, like biblically speaking, you look at the man of sin, there are passages in Daniel 11 about his fortress. It's impenetrable fortress. He's really got a strong military type of thing. Who could make war with him? Revelation 13 early on. Who is like the beast? Who can make war with him? And if there truly is kind of a mind control machine being person who has the nuke codes and, better keep him happy because, if you upset him, he might set off some nukes. That kind of thing is, Biden told us.
Armageddon's on the way.
He's telling us, Speaking of which, this is so 1984, this story here. Just to tag on to the whole China story with the mind control. New York Times, Hong Kong removes statue that memorialized Tiananmen victims. The decision to take down the Pillar of Shame, an enduring symbol of the territory's pro-democracy movement, was another sign of Beijing's crackdown. And of course, the Tiananmen victim, there's that very famous footage from Tiananmen Square of the guy who stands in front of a tractor trailer to, represent democracy over totalitarian dictatorship. And there's, I guess, a statue that memorialized that moment. But no more, says China, who took over Hong Kong last year. We knew this was coming. But it says the 26-foot copper statue known as the Pillar of Shame was created by the Danish sculptor Jens Galschot in 1996 and shows a pile of naked corpses arranged into what looks like a ghastly obelisk. Of course. Yeah, let's pile up. Okay, I might be changing my stance. I might be siding with the Chinese government on this one. No, I'm just joking. But I can understand maybe the perspective here. A statue of a pile of naked corpses arranged into an obelisk. Arranged into the missing piece of Nimrod, an ancient man god who ruled the world, was the king of the world. Interesting. The Tiananmen massacre is one of the most delicate topics in Chinese politics, yada, yada, yada. I see the actual Pillar of Shame. Oh, man. That thing is ominous, to say the least. Wow, that is super creepy. There's a part of me that's like, okay, yeah, all right. You could take that down. But also not for the same reasons as what the Chinese government would want the people of Hong Kong to believe, which is that, you're on the wrong side of history. The Tiananmen Square is a tragedy for people that thought they were fighting for freedom. No, we in fact give you freedom. So anyway, yeah, creepy thing there. All right, so there you go. That's some China news. Nothing big, just mind control devices and tearing down statues of obelisks of corpses. Fun times. It's fun to do this, guys. Fun.
It's got to be biblical.
The fun doesn't end there. This is Newsweek.com. Nearly 40% of U.S. Gen Zs, 30% of young Christians identify as LGBTQ, poll says. This is back from October. It's a little old, but I thought I'd throw it in here as part of just the conversation, biblically and the culture and the climate. I did miss this story, so I thought I'd bring it now. Somebody shared it with me. I can't remember who it was. Thank you, whoever shared it. 30% of millennials identify as LGBTQ, according to a soon-to-be-released study that is based on scientific polling data. Among Christians, the numbers were lower, but only slightly. Just under 30% of millennial Christians identify as LGBTQ. The portion of the population that describes itself as gay has varied over the years from 10% based on research by Alfred Kinsey. Oh, Alfred Kinsey? Isn't Alfred... Hold on, I gotta look up. I thought Alfred Kinsey was that real creepy guy that did like real creepy experiments on children, and was like allowed to do it in the academic realm. I'm pretty sure that's what. He's the guy who basically was. I think he was in New Mexico or somewhere, and he did all these horrific experiments on kids, and like just awful things, and it was the root argument of the whole sexual liberation thing in the 60s or whatever. It all kind of came from Alfred Kinsey's research, air quotes, more like abuse. So, okay, yeah, all right, Alfred Kinsey study promoted by the National Gay Task Force in 1977 to less than 6% in a recent Gallup poll. The pollster who worked on the new study, George Barna, attributes the unusually high number he found to social and news media coverage that make it, quote unquote, safe and cool for young Americans to identify as LGBTQ, whether or not it represents their actual sexual orientation. Social engineering, folks. Mind control. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. Quote, it's a subset of a larger issue that this is a generation where 3 out of 4 are searching for meaning. This is a group that doesn't have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, Barna says. Quote, therefore, the LGBTQ identity gives them comfort. A lot of this generation claim to be moving in that direction, but there's a big difference between claiming the identity and living the lifestyle. The poll looked at so-called millennials, defined as someone born from 1984 to 2002, which is about 78 million individuals representing a quarter of the U.S. population. Among millennials, 30% identify as LGBTQ, more than 3 times that of the rest of the adult population. And when the researchers broke out the youngest of the group, ages 18 to 24, which some call Gen Z, they found 39% called themselves LGBTQ. Barna produced the 124-page study in conjunction with the Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University and Foundations of Freedom, a nonprofit entity that promotes traditional American values. The results differed significantly from a February Gallup poll that showed just 5.6% of U.S. adults of all ages are not heterosexual or straight, though that poll said that 7.6% of respondents refused to answer the question, and another 5% said they had no opinion. Yada, yada, yada. Barna's poll is based on a sampling of 600 respondents representing millennials weighted for factors such as geographic location, race, and gender, who took an average of 17 minutes each to answer 71 questions. I'm surprised they got 600 people to answer 71 questions. Wow, that's amazing. I was about to say, like, that's not the biggest sample size for 600. But to answer 71 questions in 17 minutes too, that's pretty quick. Hold on, let me do some math on that. How many? Let's see, 17 minutes. Okay, all right. 17 minutes, 1,020 seconds. So you got 1,020 seconds. You're doing 71 questions. You got about 14 seconds a question. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, I guess. You have 14 seconds to tell the world if you're LGBTQ or not. And if you say no, you're a bad person. You know, that's part of it. I bet you this poll is skewed in that way, where the people actually taking the poll had like some kind of trigger. You know, where they're like, oh, if I don't say, am I being a mean person? Am I being ungood? You know, am I a bad human? Am I a Republican? If I say that I'm not, or that I don't identify, I'm sure that had something to do with it. The poll didn't ask directly whether the respondent was gay or straight, asking instead to choose an answer to the question, thinking about your commitments, would you describe yourself as? 6 responses were allowed, with the one garnering the most yes answers, 75% among millennials, being searching for purpose in your life, followed by 74% who answered believe all religious faiths are equal value. An American patriot was next at 55%, followed by 54% who answered often feel anxious, depressed, or unsafe, and 52% who answered deeply committed to practicing your faith. Prefers socialism to capitalism was next at 48%, and LGBTQ was last at 30%. The order is similar among the 18 to 24 demographic that has LGBTQ 9 percentage points higher. Okay, it fits into a larger narrative. Millennials are a group that has trouble creating lasting, meaningful relationships, says Barna. If their sense is that some of the people they want to be friends with and a group they want to be accepted by is LGBTQ, then they'll identify with them. It's about image, belonging, and acceptance. Also, high percentage of millennial Christians, 27%, and born-again millennial Christians, 28%, describe themselves as LGBTQ. The last quote that I have highlighted here, quote, why is it when previous generations were able to figure out why life was worth living, this one isn't figuring it out, he asks. It has to do with the spiritual changes in America. They don't buy into the Bible. They don't trust God. They don't believe in Jesus. And politics have codified that into law, and the media is a major part of it. True statement. I think that's coming from Barna. Yeah, true statement coming from Barna in terms of the culture, the reason why something like this would be true. And you know, it's a tough subject because a lot of times, well, 100% of the time, the people that identify as LGBTQ are still human beings. You know, they're people. They're your friends, your relatives, maybe, you know, brothers, sisters, cousins, or family friends. Somebody knows somebody. You know, especially for me, anyway. I grew up in Orange County, California. You know, it wasn't really people weren't like freaked out if somebody came out as gay. When I was growing up, you know, but certainly the wokeness and the championing of it and the social media and all that stuff, that changed quite a bit in the last, I'd say 10 to 20 years. It's a lot different now culturally. And it makes sense to me what they're pointing out, how if you destroy meaning and purpose, especially in young people, which a lot of it's not just culture, it's a lot of technology too. Technology's done that. It's one big thing, but you know, culture, technology, media, propaganda, all that stuff combined, I think has definitely influenced this generation to think differently than previous generations. And this is part of the transhumanist agenda, ultimately. You know, if these numbers bear out, which I don't think they truly reflect reality, and I really don't think 30% of actual Gen Z Christians or 40% of Gen Z Christians truly are LGBTQ. They may identify because it's cool, because their friends at school say that. I'm the church kid. I'm uncool. I have to go to church, but my friends at school, or, you know, so I can see that. I can see how they can be influenced by their peers and the general culture of of public life, maybe public school can lead in that direction as well. But ultimately, it is for the purposes of depopulation. You know how it works. There's not going to be a baby boom per se, or at least naturally, baby boom from the LGBTQ community. It's going to be a bot boom. It's going to be robots. I think we figured it out. It's not going to be a baby boom for the LGBTQ generation. It's going to be a bot boom. Everyone's going to have a robot baby. It's creepy. But I wanted to bring Matthew 24 because I think this, culturally speaking, this talks to or speaks to just our general kind of unpopularity with the Christian worldview of traditional marriage, things like that, which are important in the Christian faith. One man, one woman, coming together in marriage, in holy matrimony with God, and having children, starting a family. Those are values that are biblical. And for those values to not just become unpopular, but, dismissible, cancelable, is quite scriptural. It's biblical. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. And Matthew 24, of course, the famous Olivet Discourse here, from verse 9, it says, "Then they will deliver you over to be persecuted and killed." And this is later on here. "And you will be hated by all nations because of my name. At that time, many will fall away and will betray and hate one another, and many false prophets will arise and mislead many. Because of the multiplication of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who preserves or endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." So again, it's not even, this persecution comes before the gospel truly gets preached everywhere. And we must be somewhere in that time period, because we are seeing multiplication of wickedness. And I'd say the human heart has always been pretty wicked, and people have done wicked things. But with the advent of technology and the ability to leverage populations, to leverage thought socially, change and influence population and thinking, at the same time, I would imagine that because of that, there has been a multiplication of wickedness. And we've seen the love of most grow cold. This generation here that's like, oh, I don't have a meaning or purpose. That's what it comes down to. They see a wicked world. Their love grows cold. So they have nothing to live for. So, hey, yeah, sure, LGBT, sure, why not? Love, man. It's like this real shallow kind of love. Like, hey, I love everything. It's this love that has no consequences. It's this loosey-goosey love that a lot of New Agers talk about. That's not true love. That's a false kind of love. And it has a direct correlation with the multiplication of wickedness. And many falling away, betraying and hating one another. I mean, we all know that that's been more transparent in the last few years of people hating each other. But specifically, being hated and killed for the name of Christ, that's going to be the major thing here that I think, most people just don't like to think about that because it's not a pleasant thing to think about, obviously. But it's in line with Revelation 13 and the whole mark of the beast and everything else. If you don't comply, you are basically eliminated. And that's just how the world seems to be moving, or the direction the world seems to be moving, which was revealed to us in the scriptures, not just years ago. I would say unbound by time. God being unbound by time and space. All right. Okay. So just to wrap it up, I think it's important to continue to evangelize to this generation and to people that identify as LGBTQ. God still loves them, and maybe, we don't agree with the lifestyle, but they are certainly souls to be saved. So that's all I'll say about that. And let's take another quick break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
This is our second break. The first break, we thanked our producers who came in with their treasure. And in this break, we're going to thank the producers who came in with their time and talent. And that's because we here at Canary Cry News Talk, we consider this place a place of therapy, of reflection, and we like to express the frustration and all the madness happening in the world and do it in a healthy way, which is through art, through making music or audio, some kind of creative way to express it. And it's healthy. It's healthy to process it. It helps the artists process it. It helps us process it. And so that's what we like to do here. We like to thank the producers and share their art and creations to contribute to the show content that they have created to help us digest all that is happening in the world, which is, for the most part, pretty unpleasant. But, we like to continue to have a joyous heart here and point to Christ and the things that are important. There are a lot of shows out there that are really doom and gloom, and I understand that. I totally understand the seriousness of a lot of this stuff and the importance of knowing or investigating or learning about it. But if it robs you of your joy, you might be doing it wrong, And I see a lot of people, and I've encountered many, many people who are kind of in that rut where you're down, you're almost depressed. And I was there too. I mean, I wasn't immune to that, especially early on when I was learning about all the crazy stuff. It was like, oh my gosh, does anybody else realize how messed up everything is? And now is a better time to wake up and stuff because more and more people are aware and have at least a general idea of the situation at hand. Of course, when you start weaving into the details, it can get very weird. But before I wander off into some other subject, let me just bring it back to thanking these producers who came in with their time and talent. The first person I want to thank is Christine C. Thank you, Christine C., for doing the timestamps for episode 426. Appreciate it. Hold on one second. I'm getting a text message from the wife. Just going to text her back real quick. Okay. All right. So, yes, thank you very much, Christine C., for the timestamps. Do some jingles.
We have a new jingle. Never cry.
All right. So, we have multiple entries today for jingles. And let me see. The first one here is from, let's do, I have it all messed up here. I'm going to start with Toph. Toph, where's your email? Here it is. Toph, this was on my to-do list for at least 2 weeks after your plea for an Antarctica jingle last episode. I could neglect it no longer. Thanks for the detailed prompt, too. It kind of feels like a school assignment. I'm eager to see what other producers whip up. Peace and blessings. Toph, P.S. Is there file format I prefer? This one's MP3. MP3 is fine. Yeah, MP3 is fine. I mean, the Wave is technically better sonically, especially if it's 24-bit, but it's okay. I think the MP3s are just fine for what we do here. So, okay, here's Toph, the Antarctica jingle.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica in the bottom of our planet.
Advanced
Antarctica. Climate crisis. Penguins.
Antarctica. Penguins. I love it. Thank you very much, Toph. We appreciate it. And I think that we have an opener and a closer for Antarctica because we got a note here from Learbag 3000 who came in with a couple jingles. Did we have I think we do have a Learbag jingle. Hold on. I thought maybe not. I thought sorry, I'm looking up to see if I thought my memory might be crazy, but I was under the impression that Marty B made a jingle for Learbag, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, sorry. Okay, maybe he didn't. All right, so anyway, Learbag 3000 email. Hey, broskies. Long note, I'm sorry. It's not that long. You're fine. Made a few more for you. Didn't need to find any sources for the Antarctica Jing Jam. I like that, Jing Jam. Other than the one and only Canary Cry News Talk. That's right. All voice clips were taken straight from the live stream. And let me tell you, it's the hardest I've ever laughed while making a jingle. Also, wanted to mention backstory on COVID Carnival. Frequent live chatter Johnny Cool shout out suggesting a while back that I make a spooky circus jingle. So who better to be the main attraction at the circus than the head clown himself? Hope you all enjoy, and hope Gonz and Fam and Baz and Marty's had a great Christ Mass. Your friend Lear Bizzle, Luke 2:11, for unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. All right, thank you, Learbag 3000. And, of course, we're going to play here first the Antarctica jingle by Learbag.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go burn. It's a snowstorm. Antarctica.
Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Well done, Learbag. I didn't realize I did all those voices, but there you go. I like how they both have penguin. That can't be coincidence. That is the Lord's hand working in these producers. They both have penguins in the mix. Of course, the NEPHILIM penguin. Learbag also sent this other one here. This is the COVID Carnival.
Put aside any ideological considerations. There will be breakthrough infection. Get double vaccination followed by a boost and a boost and a boost, and make sure you get another booster. The virus is going to find you. It's semantics.
Wow, Fauci really has said some ridiculous things. I mean, come on, man. Where's my come on, man, when I need it?
Come on, man.
There's Joe. All right. Thank you very much, Learbag 3. Wait, who am I? Who's I thinking? Learbag 3000. Thank you very much. Now we got Psalm 40 here. Ooh, did I do this wrong? No, I didn't. Okay, Psalm 40 came in. Sent the same thing a couple times here. He said, "Hey, bud, hope the holiday was great and your Sabbath was blessed. Here's track 3. I call it Enmity. I call it Enmity. I finally started working on the album again. I decided the Song of Moses from Deuteronomy 31:32 was a must-have, but I must still find a way to get from Babel to Moses in a short and coherent fashion. We'll see. Thanks for everything, guys." So here is a little bit of the Enmity. If I can get it to move here. Come on, file. There we go. And here it is.
The Lord God said, "Behold, the man has become like us, in knowing good and evil. Now, lest he reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and live forever." Therefore, the Lord God sent man out from the garden to work the ground from which he was formed. After this, Adam's wife conceived and bore Cain. She said, "I have received a man with the help of the Lord." And again she conceived, and bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a worker of the ground. They both brought to the Lord an offering, and the Lord responded.
Another great track from Psalm 40. Thank you very much. Play the whole thing at the end of show mix, so look forward to that. Thank you very much for that, Psalm 40. And man, we have I'm just so pumped about the collective of producers and jingle makers coming in. The little team that's forming here is very, very, very cool. You guys are all very talented, and thank you very much for taking the time to contribute to the show. And along those lines, we're going to move on to some of the artwork.
One art, please.
We'll start with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
One art, please. One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And this one is titled, "So Proud of Our Accomplishments." Poor Trumpy is sad that creepy Uncle Joe is getting all the credit for the Jabruski. And there's a hand-drawn hand-drawn picture of President Donald Trump kind of biting his lip and not biting his lip, but I don't know what the expression is here. I suppose it is proud of our accomplishments. Poor Trump. He's sad, kind of. I know he's got his lips curled. His forehead is all scrunched. I can't tell if the alley went with the lizard eyes for Trump. It looks like they are lizard eyes. Yeah, I'm going to go with lizard eyes for Trump here. That was the reference that was made. So there you go. Thank you very much, Allie. And you know the details of the hair on Trump. Remember, this is black and white. I think it's pencil or maybe charcoal. But yeah, the hair is just fantastic. I mean, I forgot that this was black and white. You know, I was seeing the color, the yellow. It's so uncanny. So great job there, Ali. Appreciate it. Yep, there you go. Thank you very much. Keep it up. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And per usual here, he's coming in with 2 pieces of art. And let me size it properly here. For the people viewing, it says, "Peace. For this week's Bible verse, I did some artwork for Ecclesiastes 9 and Jeremiah 20. The first one is from Ecclesiastes. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happen to them all. And the second is from Jeremiah 20. But his word was in mine heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones." Hope you guys like him doing. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. P.S. All the photos used as the backgrounds to these are taken here in Rusbeltia by either me, my wife, or friends. So there you go. This first one. The race doesn't always go to the swift. And you know that quote, that's the George Bush quote. "A race not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. But there's an angel in the whirlwind guiding something or other." I forget the whole quote. But yeah, he was talking about the angel in the whirlwind. I think that was, he was taking part of this from Ecclesiastes here. And you can see this piece. You got a frog and the hare, I guess. You got the frog on one side, a hare on the other. You got the racetrack design, checker design around the edges of the frame here of the piece. And the photo is just of this road. Looks like maybe a mountain road or something. And just this gigantic crack in the road. Does not look safe. Doesn't look safe for the hare. Doesn't look safe for the turtle or the tortoise. Did I say turtle, tortoise? Anyway. There you go. Thank you very much for that one. Tortoise and the hare. Well, turtle and the hare. Yeah, okay. All right. They're both little green things in shells. The other one here, a fire. What was the quote? I'm sorry. But his word was in mine heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. Fire shut up in my bones. You have a skeleton with some flames coming out of his eye holes and nose hole. And the text here is, there's a lot of style with fire being fire and the word bones being made out of bones. Did I say frog? Oh, Ebony Blaze is saying I said frog. All right, well, you know, I've been talking straight for 2.5 hours. I might mess up frog and tortoise and, yeah, they're green. Little green things. Yeah, the reptilians. You know the thing. Come on, man. All right. And the background, back to the photo image here. The background is a car just bursting in flames. Learbag, I don't know what hopefully this is not your car, but it is just a horrific scene in the background from Rusbeltia of just a car exploding. So, all right. Thank you very much, Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia. And hopefully everyone's safe from that car explosion. All right. Thanks, chat. You guys are making me feel better for saying ridiculous things. Talk enough and you'll say something ridiculous. Okay, let's see. Next up, we have Mark A. Came in with some art here. And Mark A., I guess, he came in the other day, but he came in a little late here. Shalom, boys. I tried last show to get some art in, but I sent it too late, so today is a double feature. Hope yins like him. Also, big shout out to the Discord for prayers during my COVID. Mark A. Oh, Mark A. That's too bad, man, with the COVID. All right, so here's a couple pieces. I don't know if they're in correct order or not. Let's see. Let me see if there's a rhyme or reason to this. I think this one's first. So this is a little cartoon here, 4 cells on the piece. It's the Basil and Gonz, the Bang. And the first cell has the Basil robot arm talking to me on a cell phone that magically floats there. And he says, Gonz, I'm telling you, he will totally do it. And then the next cell is robot arm Basil talking to commie Gonz. It's like me with just with the commie or I guess Baphomet China shirt or something. Look, we really want to do business with you, but first you need to be initiated. Okay, so the initiation is becoming part of that. And then the next cell, and you have to do it yourself. So you have somehow the flippy hand, or maybe this is the Chinese people, handed me a razor, not a razor blade. What are those things called that cut your hair? Those auto blade thingies. Oh my gosh. Somebody who's a hairdresser is probably screaming at the iPhone or the computer or wherever you're listening. Clippers. Yeah, clippers. Okay, and then the last cell, it says, one of us. Kim Jong-ilong, am I in? And it's a picture of me without my glasses with the Kim Jong-un / Elon Musk haircut. Which, beware, I might actually get that haircut just to do it. You know, it'll happen. All right, thank you very much, Mark A. He also has another one. He's a Christmas little cartoon here. Again, 4 cells of the Bang, Basil, and Gonz. First one here, there's a Christmassy Basil robot arm talking into a microphone. The robot hand, Basil, has a Santa hat and a scarf around him, staying warm. And he says, and then I guess it's me or somebody talking, can't tell who it is, who says, welcome back from Christmas, everyone. Basil, cool hat. Where'd you get it? And then the next cell, the robot hand, Basil, says, don't play coy. You know I warned you. And then there's lizard person Santa saying, Basil, what are you doing here? And then out of the bag that Santa is holding of his alleged presents, the voice screams out, Basil! Somebody's trapped. And then it shows robot Basil hand in his room or in a closet or something. And he's saying, I got it from Amazon. It shows a little head of Bezos, the Bezos hat, and the Santa hat. And you got the Pope and the Shimura hat as well. All right. Thank you very much, Mark A. Appreciate the cartoons. Always a good time. Always interesting to see the different perspectives and concepts that you conjure up of our adventures here in Canary Cry News Talk. So thank you very much. That's it for the artwork. Let me quickly do the microfiction from Rung Smash. Rung Smash came in with a microfiction. Here's how it goes. As Basil and Gonz are reading the authorized press article about the release of Pfizer's Comirnaty Classic as the 283rd jab released with emergency use authorization, they notice the listener count jump by 333. I think they're listening, says Basil. Ooh, that's not good. The communication is open and transparent, and it is happening. All right, real quick here. We're going to talk about some meetups.
CanaryCry Meetup.
Go to CanaryCry.Meetups.com and find Canarians near you or people that listen to the show. You can find out if there's one happening near your residence, or if you don't see one happening near you, then you can start one yourself. You can choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, and promote it. We will help you promote it right here on the show in this segment. We have Ciara, who was one of the first. She was the first person to really take initiative with the meetups, and she does virtual meetups, Zoom meetups, every third Saturday of the month from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's once again just a Zoom meetup that she does for anybody that wants to hang out virtually. She's also organizing the March 19th, 2022 Washington and Canada meetup at the Peace Arch National Park. That'll be at noon. It's a potluck style hangout at the park. Children are always welcome. And again, that's happening at the Washington, Canada. And I'm just reading the little thing here in the flyer. No border crossing necessary. So there you go. Contact ciaralauren93@gmail.com to RSVP for that one. You still got a couple months before that one's happening. I gotta delete some of these. Or move some of these down. Baton Rouge, Louisiana already happened. North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, Part 2 is slated for Sunday, January 9th, 2022 at 3:33 p.m. It will be a 2030 agenda-themed white elephant gift exchange. And so anybody who's interested in going to that one, please email josiahbdyer@gmail.com to receive the information about location. So, you're going to have to contact Josiah to find out exactly where this is. But the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho meetup happening January 9th, 2022, which is coming up. My goodness, everything is happening so fast. It is crazy. We also have the Florida meetup, Florida Panhandle Canary Cry Community Meetup, January 22nd of 2022, 5:33 p.m. at the Ye Old Brothers Brewery in Navarre, Florida. Kids, welcome. You can RSVP kmbrown815@gmail.com and jackie.umfrey@mail.com. So there you go. A couple people to RSVP if you want to make it there. In Florida. And then on the same day, we have the South Carolina meetup, the South Carolina Super Southeast Mega Meetup, Saturday, January 22nd, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. Location, Yeehaw Brewing Co., Greensville, South Carolina. Featuring Prince's famous Nashville hot chicken on-site venue and time subject to change according to interested attendees. Contact producer JC or producer Morv at sccanarians@protonmail.com. And again, it's a great way to connect with people in your local neighborhood, local area, who also happen to be listeners or producers of Canary Cry News Talk. And, it's a great thing. It's a great feeling because there's sort of an understanding going in, like, oh, okay, you can bring up stuff that you normally wouldn't with friends and family. You can bring up Genesis 6 and the NEPHILIM and transhumanism and DNA and all that crazy stuff. And it'll just be normal conversation with normal people because that's what we are. We're normal people. We're not strange entities from some other planet with, I don't know. It's going to tell the scientists that we're all one or something. No, we're just a bunch of people who believe in Jesus Christ and think there's more to the news than what the mainstream reports. And, we just like to stay on top of what's really happening in the world. That's all. So if you'd like to meet some like-minded people, go do that. Go to CanaryCry.meetups.com and look for a meetup near you or start one yourself.
This is fun!
And I believe that is it for this break. Some of you guys might be liking the short break, huh? Is it short? I can't even tell. I think it is going a little shorter. Okay. Either way, we're going to go back to some stories here to wrap up the show.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And what are we talking about? Hold on. What are we doing now? Oh, we're doing the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Yuck. Reuters.com. Tasty TV. Japanese professor creates flavorful screen. Because, of course, I mean, who hasn't licked the screen when there was an ice cream sundae so deliciously put together by some master chef at some game show where they're trying to compete for money by pleasing the judges from, cooking cakes and pies and stuff. Anyway, yeah. A Japanese professor has developed a prototype lickable TV screen that can imitate food flavors. Another step towards creating a multi-sensory viewing experience. The device, called Taste the TV. TTTV. Hey, bro, have you gotten your TTTV yet? Oh my gosh, tastes so good. Uses a carousel of 10 flavor canisters that spray in combination to create the taste of a particular food. The flavor sample then rolls on a hygienic film over a flat TV screen for the viewer to try. What in the world is going on? In the COVID-19 era, this kind of technology can enhance the way people connect and interact with the outside world, said Meiji University Professor Home Miyashita. Quote, the goal is to make it possible for people to have the experience of something like eating at a restaurant on the other side of the world, even while staying at home, he said. Wait, but you're not eating anything. There's no nutritional value from the, oh man, that's the next step. Exit strategy, write this down in the Red Book. It's just a computer screen that you could just eat. It just makes food. I think Star Trek already figured that one out. Miyashita works with a team of about 30 students that has produced a variety of flavor-related devices, including a fork that makes food taste richer. That steak was okay, but have you tried it with this fork? He said he built the TTTV prototype himself over the past year, and that a commercial version would cost about 100,000 yen, $875 to make. Okay, so it'll be at least $1,000 for this thing. There's a picture here of a young lady licking a screen. I mean, I don't think we need to go through all the pictures here. Potential applications include distance learning for sommeliers and cooks and tasting games and quizzes, he said. All right. Miyashita has also been in talks with companies about using his spray technology for applications like a device that can apply a pizza or chocolate taste to a slice of toasted bread. Okay. All right. He also hopes to make a platform where tastes from around the world can be downloaded and enjoyed by users, much like music is now. One Meiji student demonstrated TTTV for reporters, telling the screen she wanted to taste sweet chocolate. After a few tries, an automated voice repeated the order, and flavored jets spritzed a sample onto a plastic sheet. Oh my gosh, this is quote, it's kind of like milk chocolate, she said. It's sweet like a chocolate sauce. End of story. If there's one story that shows the doom of man in this era of technology, is this story right here. I mean, it'll revolutionize, your mom's cooking or something. I miss your casserole. You're all the way in another country. Or something like that, or you are in another country, you miss some home cooking, then your wife or your mom can whip it up and feed it into the the flavored thing reader. I don't know. Coding the flavor and then sending it to you through the internet, and then you pull up your iPad or whatever and you give it a big lick, and oh yeah, that's the good stuff that your grandma made, and all nostalgic. What a weird world. What is this? This is out of control. Or it's mind control.
Mind control weapons.
Oh, I'd consider this a mind control weapon. Man, this is just ridiculous. I mean, we all know that the horrible application of this, like the beyond just the food, but man, it's not heading. Things are not heading in the right direction. That's all I'll say about it. Sick of the beast. How soon before they start selling NFT lickables? I give it 18 to 24 months. That's a good point. But my thing is, you got to have the spray or whatever, right? You got to have that thing, the film or whatever they invented. So there's a distribution problem with the technology. It's not like you can just grab your iPhone or your iPad and just start licking away and start tasting stuff, right? But it makes sense. NFT lickables. I own this flavor. No, you don't. You don't own this. It's on the blockchain. Check on the blockchain. I own this flavor. All right. Okay. I'm having too much fun by myself here, talking into a microphone. All right. One more story here, and it's a NEPHILIM update. NEPHILIM update. NEPHILIM update. NEPHILIM update. And this is from the Washington Post, which I thought was an interesting platform to have this story. Ohio indigenous sacred sites become a flashpoint. Columbus, Ohio. Chief Glenna Wallace spent the summer solstice this past June walking the narrow asphalt path, that encircles Serpent Mound, a low serpentine wall of earth built by her ancestors hundreds or even, thousands of years ago. Getting the show burps right at the end here. Wallace, who leads the Eastern Shawnee tribe of Oklahoma, was joined by Chief Ben Barnes of the Shawnee tribe, and the two talked to crowds of visitors at the historic site about their tribe's connection to the mound and the 19th century policies that forced them out of the area. We presented programs to let people know that the tribes still exist, the people still exist, Wallace told Religion News Service in a recent phone call. As they spoke, the sound of flute music and a Native American-style drum demonstration filtered through the air from a nearby Soaring Eagle retreat, where people had gathered to commemorate the solstice with crystal workshops and a presentation by a local Bigfoot investigator and other speakers who suggested that aliens or giants had built the mound. We're full circle now. Native Indians and Bigfoot hunters and others who think aliens built the mounds. Aliens and giants. Southern Ohio is home to more than 70 earthworks constructed by the indigenous Adena and Hopewell cultures. These structures are still important to their descendants, the Shawnee, Eastern Shawnee, Miami, and Delaware people who were pushed out of the area 200 years ago by white American settlers. Oh, those white American settlers. Some of the structures were built as burial mounds, and others functioned as astronomical observatories or ritual or religious structures. And Rob Skiba, Russ Dizdar has talked a lot about these mounds. Ellie Marzulli has I think, written a couple books on it. So yes, these mounds are very popular, well known in our circles. But yes, they do pin one of the Christians here. But the mounds have also taken on significance for other spiritual groups. Terry Rivera, who has been bringing people to celebrate equinoxes and solstices at Serpent Mound for a decade, thinks the site should be open to anyone who sees it as a sacred place. Quote, "To me, it's a real healing spot," Rivera said on a visit to the mound in November. "I think people were probably drawn here because of the energy fields." Theories about the mound's origin have also led to attacks from fringe evangelical Christians. Attacks! We have attacked them. Tribal leaders have responded by educating locals about the mounds and working with groups such as Ohio History Connection, the nonprofit organization that manages Serpent Mound, and other mounds throughout Ohio to ensure that they are respected. So, okay, hold on, Washington Post or Religion News or whoever is responsible for this article here. The mounds' origins have also led to attacks from fringe evangelical Christians who sees them as unholy. Attacks? What are they talking about? Did somebody go there and start ripping stuff apart? Like, I know Russ Dizdar went there to like pray. I think L.A. Marzulli went there to like pray against the spirit and stuff. Is that what they're talking about? Is Washington Post or Religion News, are they acknowledging spiritual warfare here? It's the only kind of attack I can think of fringe evangelical Christians doing on a site like this. They certainly didn't physically attack anyone. So what is, of course they're going to paint fringe evangelical Christians as hateful people. And notice how they don't say anything about it. They just say like, oh yeah, the local people that run it said that everything is respected. Okay. All right. Quote, we believe that some of the activities that have occurred there in the past are in direct violation of our beliefs, Wallace said. And so we're asking that our practices not be violated. So I'm wondering if that is like hey, they did spiritually attack us. We respect and worship the builders of the mound, or those who may be buried there. And you Christians coming in saying it's Nephilim, you attack us. Interesting. Their efforts are part of a larger battle for access to sacred sites, from the mountains in Arizona to rivers in North Dakota, aimed at fending off developers or government agencies to preserve the physical integrity directly linked to their spiritual value. The federal government is sometimes a partner and sometimes not. In Ohio, the U.S. is working to have 9 Ohio earthworks, including Serpent Mound, added to UNESCO's World Heritage List, a move that would provide additional resources to safeguard the mounds. Oh, UNESCO's World Heritage List. UNESCO, you mean UNESCO, the group that was founded by the brother of Aldous Huxley, Julian Huxley, who wrote a book called UNESCO back in, the 20s or 30s or something like that, laying out the groundwork of how to create basically a one world government. Oh, yeah, those guys. Oh, they're going to come in and help protect the mound and have its spiritual origins respected. Interest from practitioners of alternative faiths is also a mixed blessing, although New Agers often share a belief in Native American sites' spiritual power. They have sometimes caused damage. Oh, okay, so when Native Americans who share the spiritual power of the site, when they do something, it's just, they cause some damage. When Christians pray against it or something, it's that we've been attacked. The double standard there. In 2012, a group called Unite the Collective, yikes, that sounds super hive mind, Unite the Collective, whose members identified themselves as light warriors, buried hundreds of orgonites, balls of crystals and resin, often made in muffin tins, at Serpent Mound in an attempt to focus the Earth's vibration. All right. Okay. I can see some trespassing problems there, but all right. Sites such as Serpent Mound have served as gathering places for New Age spiritual practices since the 1987 Harmonic Convergence, when believers congregated on a day that they believed was auspicious according to the Mayan calendar. Hey, they've been doing that since the 80s. The Newark earthworks, about 40 minutes east of Columbus, have also drawn attention for supposedly being built along ley lines, invisible grid lines that channel Earth energies. Oh, where did we start the show? Talked about the ancient energy grid and the modern internet. That all ties together. It's all coming together. Yeah, see how we start somewhere, we end somewhere.
It's all coming together.
In 2011, Serpent Mound was featured on an episode of the History Channel's Ancient Aliens. in which several people speculated that the mounds may have been used as a landing site by aliens. And the day before the winter solstice last December, Dave Daubenmire, a conservative activist and leader of Pass the Salt Ministries in Hebron, Ohio, led a group to Serpent Mound to perform a prayer to cast demons out of the site. Daubenmire said in a Facebook video that he believed Ohio's earthworks were built by Nephilim, a race of giants some say are offspring of fallen angels and human women. Wow. We are there, folks. The Washington Post has published a sentence. Of course, it's quoting Dave Daubenmire, who we met, and we did a conference together back in 2014. But the words, built by Nephilim, a race of giants, some say, are the offspring of fallen angels and human women. There you go. No longer just fringe, it's now in the mainstream. For many, these claims echo the racist mound builders myth. Racist? Really? Which credits the mounds' construction to an ancient white race. An idea used by 19th century politicians to justify the expulsion of native tribes from their lands. And it's always, it's interesting because it's always race, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of a race war thing. You talk about the sons of God and the daughters of men, but it's like non-human race and the human race, not color of our skin race. Daubenmire's group was met by protesters from the ancient Indian movement of Ohio, although the organization is not sanctioned by the official American Indian movement. Rivera criticized both Unite the Collective and Pass the Salt Ministries, maintaining that the mounds provide an opportunity for people with different beliefs to come together, provided they respect the site. Okay, so all right. So the evangelical Christian was equally swept under the same banner as Unite the Collective New Agers, which I guess they were doing a little bit more of property damage, burying crystal balls and whatnot. Quote, one of our sayings for our events is all nations, all races, all relationships, a new world order. No, that's not in there. It might as well be. Said Rivera, who describes herself as having Native American ancestry, but is not a member of a recognized tribe. Quote, so it's time to just quit dividing. Just say, hey, let's just all be friends. Spoken like a true New World Order globalist.
A new world order, a new world order, new world.
Let's just be friends. Let's be friends in the New World Order. But Wallace said that belief in the mounds' spiritual power can lead people to disrespect the mounds' history and sacredness. She has seen people using drugs at Serpent Mound on the winter solstice and heard of people doing naughty things there too, believing it would boost their fertility. Oh, boy. Well, yeah, you got a pagan ritual site. You got pagan rituals. Put two and two together. Hey, maybe that spirituality you're talking about is not as wholesome as you'd like to think there. Even the drumming that took place at the last solstice event, although characterized by organizers as ceremonial, seemed disrespectful to Wallace. More like a rock concert than an act of reverence. Oh, gosh. All right. I don't know how much more I can do. Okay, you get the point here. This is protect the Native Americans at all costs. All right, so it was Religious News Service reporting this. They're kind of woke. You got the WAPO republishing it. And so, yes, it's going to have that flavor to it. But, we rarely have Nephilim updates that are this specific to Nephilim, number one, and number two, being brought up in mainstream articles like the Washington Post. So here you go. It at least this republished, and at least Religious News Services or whatever that originally published the article, they didn't really try to debunk the idea about who, and they don't really get into who is really the ones who built it. They just kind of do the woke, side with the natives angle, which is the proper progressive PC thing to do with this kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, side with the natives or you're a bad person, and you're a racist if you don't. When in reality, it's a lot more nuanced. There's a lot more discussion to be had here, ancient history, it brings in philosophy, it brings in theology, it brings in all the different topics that you can address or have a conversation about when it comes to the Serpent Mound. Certainly has a spiritual implication as well, but most people, especially WAPO and maybe even religious news services, aren't going to really get into the nitty-gritty of that side of things, or about the NEPHILIM, or the connection to Genesis 6, or the Tower of Babel, or the entire biblical narrative. And it's part of the divide and conquer methodology. There is a way to have the conversation with the Native Americans with these topics, and a lot of times I think like L.A. Marzulli and even Tom Horn and others, many others who have made films and have written books and stuff, they've all reached out to the Native American people who are in charge of that area, and a lot of them have opened up, and they have shared things that seem to corroborate with certain biblical worldviews, and in the process, I'm sure the gospel was shared to them as well that we don't even know about. So, I think there's a proper approach to this topic in general that encompasses all the fascinating topics, supernatural and metaphysical and everything else. But of course, if you're going to get it from WAPO, it's one guy, one fringe evangelical Christian guy, and one super new agey group bearing skulls or spheres or whatever it is to try to do some new age science, to try to gather the energy or whatever they were doing. So there you go. That's our Nephilim update for today.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
And that is going to do it for episode 427. Oh my gosh, just shy of 3 hours. Getting a little worn out here, but thank you for sticking with me today as I run the show solo. I haven't really been talking to Basil through text today, but he just gave me the can't make it earlier on, so that was a bummer, but hopefully we got through a full show here and you guys were able to get some good stuff out of it, learn about some of the stories out there, learn about some of the worldviews that we have here, perspectives on things that we don't share all the beliefs and things with everybody, all the producers and all. Me and Basil even have differing views about lots of minutia, but I think it's more important to come together and have that conversation, have that discussion, have a place where you can open up about it, because there's nothing to fear really with discussing the fringier topics. The biblical view addresses it. The Bible addresses all of it. And that's the confidence you can have going into any topic, really. So there you go. What are all the things Basil runs through at the end of a show? He talks about sharing the show. He does some crazy rant about how to share the show. Let's see. What do we got? CanaryCry.Party. That's our link tree. You can go to CanaryCryRadio.com/support. Oh, yeah. The jingle.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
Yeah, I guess I should have played that jingle earlier when I was talking about producers and the first break. But, yeah, there it is. CanaryCryRadio.com/support to support the show. CanaryCryMeetups.com to connect with others for the meetups. Check out Ravel. It's Basil's other podcast. Check out the Fountain.app if you're single and searching for like-minded believers. It's a good platform to start, at least see if you connect with anybody. And share the show. I guess that's the one big thing. The best marketing is word of mouth. It's marketing done not by us, but by you, the listener or the producer, to share the show with friends and family. Get it out there and just let them know, like, hey, these guys hang out 3 times a week. There's normal guys. They're not trying to be super experts or anything like that. They're just reporting on the news. They do give a little bit of opinion and share the worldview of a grounded biblical believer with some some interesting things concerning, where we come from and the history of our world. But it's still biblical. So, yeah, check it out. That's something you can do. Tell a friend, tell a family member. And or if you're like, who was our producer today who came in with the note, the longer note? Let me try to find him. I think it was William F. Yes, William F., who sent in the note about how his mother was watching an episode of Canary Cry News Talk on her tablet or laptop or something like that. And he would, occasionally see a pair of googly eyes on her screen and got curious enough to check it out. So yeah, just having it on, you don't even have to tell them, your roommates or whatever about it, just turn it on, have it play there. And surely the googly eyes will spark questions from your neighbor or your friend, family member, roommate. So that's just one way to do it. I'm not going to try to come up with a ranty way to do it because it's Basil's shtick, and I'm not going to try to even come close to coming up with the brilliance and genius that is Basil's rants. So I will refrain from doing that. But what you can do is go up to your friends, family, neighbors, roommates, strangers, only if you're friendly. Don't get too rough with them. But you can walk right up to them, grab him by the cage, and then shake him.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah. Whoa, why would he bring up Noah in the movie? Why is Ultron talking about Noah? Oh, maybe it's about the Nephilim. Maybe it's about Genesis 6. All right. There you go. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here for episode 427. Episode 428, it might be on Wednesday. It might be in the new year. Not 100% sure yet, but stay tuned because we will be back before long. And actually, we might not even do next Monday. It might be pushed to Tuesday, the 4th, and then back on schedule Wednesday. We'll see what happens. But there you go. That's the episode. Thank you very much for all the producers. Our executive producer, David F., our associate executive producer, Stephen T., our calendar producers, Jennifer A.B., Thomas C., Liz D., Hannah G., Lori G., Palmer B., Austin A., Chris M., Shagan, Lalita C., and then our producers, Heather Sir Russ, Palmer B., JC, Juan A., Jackie U., William F., Morv, Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes, James H., Rung Smash, Sir Scott, Night of Truth, James J., Doctor Who Dunnack, KC, The Shield Knight, Gail M., Veronica D., and we thank Christine C. for the timestamps, Learback 3000, Toph, and Psalm 40 for the jingles, Dame Alley, Sir Dove, Mark A. for the arts, and Rung Smash for the microfiction. Thank you for supporting the show, producing the show. Oh my gosh, my jingle ended. Okay, well, there you go. Thank you very much. Again, we'll see you guys next time, and until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
The Lord God said, Behold, the man has become like us, in knowing good and evil. Now, lest he reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and live forever. Therefore, the Lord God sent man out from the garden to work the ground from which he was formed. After this, Adam's wife conceived and bore Cain. She said, I have received a man with the help of the Lord. And again she conceived, and bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a worker of the ground. They both brought to the Lord an offering, and the Lord responded to Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering, the Lord did not respond. So Cain grew angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why is your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door, and its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it." Cain spoke to Abel, his brother, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother and killed him. Then the Lord came to Cain and said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground, and now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. You shall be a wanderer among the earth all your days." Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord, and he settled in the east, in a land called Nod. Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. Cain then built a great city, and named the city after his son, Enoch. Adam laid with his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Seth, for she said, "God has appointed for me another offspring instead of Abel, for Cain has killed him." To Seth also a son was born, and he called his name Enoch. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. Adam had lived 130 years, and he fathered Seth, a son in his own likeness, after his own image. The days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake. The way to avoid this virus, shoot from the shoulder, let people know Armageddon's on the way. And so we're moving. It's patriotic. Look, people are afraid. People are worried. This is not about freedom and personal choice.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. Get vaccinated. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Vaccinations.
You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!